bottom of the Smash Mountain. I would like to thank all my Patreon supporters at patreon.com/bsmpod for continuing to support me in what I'm doing. Big shout outs to my senior producers. We have Ventus Official and my mom and dad. Love y'all. Thank you for the support. Everybody for tuning in for another episode here. We are going off the beaten path. I love, and I do mean this, I love having people on from Melee. And I actually have gone into Smash adjacent communities sparingly in the past. However, it's been a minute, and this is a game that I've been getting back into the past couple of months. We're talking about Naruto Super Clash of Ninja 4, which is a mod of Naruto GNT4, whatever. And I'm generalizing here because we have the expert. We have someone who's been a member of the SCON4 community since before SCON4. So this is HebrewHammer coming out to talk to me about not only the game and the mod, not only Combo Breaker 2023 results and lore and history, but also himself. HebrewHammer, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Oh man, thank you so much for having me. When you sent me that DM in Discord, I saw like a message request. I was like, that's uncommon, right? And I was like, oh snap, this is so cool. And then I read it. I was like, hell yeah, like right now, let's do it. But I actually got a lot of stuff prepped actually because I didn't want to forget anything. Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, what did you want to prep for in particular? I'm interested in hearing for your perspective. I mean, as somebody, okay, let me back up a bit. When Mikey and I did O2 Heroes, we played SCON4 together. We talked about the game. We're both really just novels or noobs at it. So we're just excited to try something. For me, it's reawakening something that I played as a child.
Yeah.
And for Mikey, he had never played it before in his life. And when he invites me onto the podcast and he wants me to talk about me, I can talk about me all day. And anything that I'm vaguely connected to, I could just kind of pull things up. And I might say to myself, oh, I forgot something, but I don't usually worry about it as much. So you already kind of reveal something about yourself, if you will, by wanting to prep for tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm interested.
Yeah.
What did you feel you needed to brush up on to feel you were ready to get into all this?
So it's just part of my nature. I'm pretty detail oriented, and I'm really into when I'm talking about something that has the potential to have specificity. I prefer to have the actual data available and not just go off memory. So in something like this, where I'm giving an opportunity to talk about my past and my experience with not just SCON, but GNT as a whole, I needed to look back 19 years because I'm an old man compared to many of you. So after you messaged me and we said, yeah, we'll do it and all the stuff, and then you were saying, I asked you, like, should I prep anything? Is there anything specific you want to talk about? And you kind of gave me a rundown, and I was thinking about it. I was like, a lot of this stuff I can talk about off the cuff, but I wanted to have like dates and references, and I have screenshots from Willvolution. Like, I have so much some stuff I've collected to give a better picture of, like, I guess, who I am and my background, why I'm so passionate about this stuff, why it means so much to me. I also work in game testing and quality assurance, so specificity and data and being correct and having actual documentation is just ingrained in me. My background before that is I have an engineering degree, so I'm just all about numbers and structure and organization, and this was kind of like a weird investigation of not a stranger, it's myself, but trying to find these breadcrumbs that I unintentionally left, like in emails, old chats, old eBay purchases, whatever it may be. So I have a little Word document here with some notes and some things, and I can talk, I'll get into it more, but I don't know, it matters to me. It doesn't mean it has to matter to everyone else, but I like to, in a case like this, since you are newer to all of this, being able to talk about the specifics as to why and how the mod is different, I think it gives more value, because you said you and Mikey, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You guys, I listened to the podcast over. I started it yesterday and I finished it today. When was that? When did that happen? because it was before Combo Breaker, so it was at
It
least
was a couple of
2
weeks
weeks
before
ago.
Combo Breaker. We had to kind of separate the recording into different days and segments.
And at that time, so let's just say May, right? Had you been exposed to GNT at all before that?
My original exposure to GNT was the vanilla unmodded game as a child. I'm 7 years old going to my cousin's house. They have a GameCube that has a little switch that can go from NTSC-U to NTSC-J, allowing you to play Japanese exclusive releases.
That was you talking about. Okay, now I know who is who in this recording because I had it backwards. Okay, perfect. So you were playing GNT4 on you said your cousin's modded Wii. Cool.
Not modded. It was a game. I don't know how. I've never seen a GameCube before that has a switch on the back that could go back and forth.
I mean, it had to be modded. There's no such thing. There was a collaboration with Panasonic back in the day. It was called the Panasonic Q. It was chrome, silver chrome, could play DVDs, and it was Japanese exclusive. So some people would buy that, and you wouldn't need anything. Actually, I don't want to get into. We can come back to this, but I literally have GNT 3 and 4 right here. I lost the sleeve apparently, but the way we played it back in the day was with this freeloader. So this is a disc that you put into the GameCube, and it removes the region lock.
Yeah. So and the little switch thingy on the back of this GameCube that my cousins had,
the same thing.
Did the same thing exactly. Yeah, you could just switch back and forth.
More convenient. But do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I'm 27.
So 20 years ago is 2003. That would have been. So I even looked this up because do you think it was that GNT 3 came out in November of 2004, and GNT 4 came out in 2005, November 21st, 2005. So it's possible that he had GNT 2 because that was out in 2003. But bottom line, you played it as a kid, which is quite interesting. How old is your cousin?
He's like 5 or 6 years older than me. He's in his early 30s now.
And he had a Japanese import that long ago.
So it's cool. So I don't remember, because when I was trying to find it, I'm just thinking to myself, completely normal thoughts. I have 2 children. I have a wife. I love Melee. These are all cycling through my brain. And then there was, I want to say, it's sometime in March of this year where I go, I used to play a Naruto fighting game. I wonder if that's still out there. And I'm looking at these GNT releases going, oh man, these are all released back to back. I don't know which one of these I played. I just I like process of elimination. Okay, so no, it felt like there were more characters. Frame. I remember, I could have been getting the details wrong here or there. And so it could have been closer to 2005, 2006, or 2007. I just remember for sure Brawl was not out yet. I had no conception of Brawl yet, and came out in 2008. Brawl came out in 2008.
Yeah.
Right.
So by that point in time, GNT 1 was in 03, April 03. GNT 2 was December of 03, which is pretty shocking that within 8 months they released a sequel. GNT 3.
They're kind of the same game, aren't they?
I mean,
I don't
disagree, but
I'm being a little mean. I'm being a little mean. There's a difference between Melee and Brawl, and you get what I'm saying.
Yes, there is. No, I definitely agree. But that's how they sold it. So GNT 3 was November 2004, and GNT 4 was 2005.
Kind of kept developing is my guess, right? Did they just keep developing after they pumped out the first one? Wouldn't they just have kept going?
Yeah, and it's interesting because only 3 and 4 were exclusive, actually. In the United States, so I guess a little background here. GNT is Gekkito Ninja Tyson, right? But GNT is easier, right? It means Great Ninja Battle, but in the United States, they called it Clash of Ninja. That's where we get Con, C-O-N, Clash of Ninja. So Con 1 came out in 06. 3 years after the first one in Japan. Con 2, so Con 1's March 06, Con 2 is September 06. So GNT 4 was already out for almost a year when Con 2 came out in the United States. 3 and 4 never came out in the United States, and the Wii, they started making the in Japan they were called GNT-EX series, and then in the United States it was Con Rev series. It was actually NAEU in Australia as well. Those were the Revolution 1, 2, and 3. Apparently, GNT3 was ported to the Wii and modified slightly. That was Rev 1, and then they added some stuff to it. But yeah, we never got the GameCube games in the United States. So to hear what you guys are talking about, it blows my mind, because my introduction to this was, again, I'm turning 36 in August. So I was graduating high school in 2005, and since I was in August birthday, I was always younger than everybody in my grade. So I graduated when I was like 17, and then almost 18, turning 18 that summer. By that point in time, technically, GNT3 had already come out, but I didn't know anything about it. I knew about the show because back then, torrent, Netflix, Crunchyroll, none of that existed, right? So if you wanted to watch anime, it was Cartoon Network, Toonami, and maybe you caught the episode of Dragon Ball or whatever the hell was on, like Cowboy Bebop or Trigun maybe. But then this new show comes out, and my friend gives me a CDR, a disc. It's like 800 megabytes with the first 4 episodes of Naruto. And I think like episode 3 or 4, Kakashi does the thing, like the finger up Naruto's butt. So that like hooked me right away. I thought it was amazing. And this was back when you had to torrent stuff, and it was fan subbed. So you had to like commit to one group that subbed it more accurately than the other. And anyway, so that's like junior year, senior year. I also start learning about what anime conventions are. And we go to an anime convention called Ushicon. This is in Austin, Texas, by the way. I guess I feel like I should maybe give some background. Why am I even called HebrewHammer? But we can get back to that.
You haven't made your tag yet. You're still a human who just really likes Naruto and going to anime conventions in Austin, Texas, no less.
Yeah.
Woo!
Okay. I'll backtrack real fast. My name is HebrewHammer because I'm originally from Israel. We moved to the United States when I was quite young. My name is Zev, but everyone just on the server just calls me Hebrew or Hammer, HH sometimes. So Hebrew's good. HebrewHammer is a really campy movie from 2003 released on like Comedy Central about a Jewish superhero. It's ridiculous, but I like the alliteration and I think it's funny, and I don't know, it's good. So
this looks like Chuck Norris basically in the picture that Mikey shared in the Discord server.
Yeah. Okay. No. Oh, that's right. Because he knew what it was. Yes, exactly. It's like a Jewish Orthodox Chuck Norris. He's got the curls and the hat.
Yes.
That is actually, that's a really good way to describe what he looks like. So we eventually moved to the United States, and we settle in Austin. I grow up there. I go to middle school, high school, college. But in high school, I started going to anime conventions, and in Austin, there was one called Ushicon. And as typical anime conventions have a game room, we go to the game room and we see like people playing Step Mania, which do you know what that is?
Is it similar to DDR, or
it is DDR on the PC?
So it's not with the big stepping on your feet. You're using just the keyboard arrows, because I have done versions of that, just probably not Step Mania. By the way, shout outs to the dog.
Yeah, this is Magnus. He's one of my guys. I have 2 more, not this big, but 2 huskies. They're somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's a big boy.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Step Mania is effectively a DDR game. I don't know how to client almost on PC that you can use keyboard, but you can connect mats to your PC and play actual DDR.
That's cool.
So you see all these things, and then I see people playing what looks like a Naruto fighting game, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Because at this point in time, GNT3 is out, and I've never GNT2, because it was in 2004. This is me doing the investigation, the backtrack, and I was looking through emails and finding like threads of, hey, I got this, can we do that? So I see GNT2, and I'm like, this is amazing. Fast forward a year to 2005, January 2005, I went to another Ushicon convention, and at that point, GNT3 is out. And I'm just blown away, because I was like, what is this? How do you get this? This is Like Amazon's not a thing. Importing games is difficult. Like I think most people back then used a website called Play Asia, which still exists. But I was able to just get it because I mean I have it here at the like vendors, right? Um, and also got this
I
freeloading
have no
plan.
idea how my
So,
cousins got it. It's in Japanese. The menus are in Japanese.
oh no,
I
yeah,
didn't
I
even know
mean
how to go through the menus. My cousins had to go through the menus for me because they
it's
had them memorized.
100% in Japanese only. Like,
Right.
I don't remember. I can't, that part I can't remember. Probably someone showed me. I honestly I can't remember how that part was determined, but uh, that's how I stumbled onto the game. So in 2005, effectively going to anime conventions and seeing people play it, and then getting my own copy. And then I graduated high school, and I go to college, and I'm at UT, and I meet some friends in like a physics class, and one of my friends wants to run a melee tournament on campus, right at his dorm. I'm like, oh, cool, awesome. I'll go and practice and on against computer. I know nothing about the FGC at this point in time. I don't play games competitively at all, so I didn't know that there was a melee scene. And this is 2005, 2006 timeframe. And so my friend hosts this thing, he posts all over, and then all of the guys in the Austin scene arrive, and I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? Wave dashing and all these crazy tech, and it's just destroyed. And I was like, yo, what? Like what? I don't get it. So then I found out that there was a group on campus that met up at like every Friday evening, and they had casuals, and I got introduced to the Austin scene, and that's that opened the floodgates. And this is again the mid 2000s, so like Asin and Ken and PC Chris and Isaiah and Mewtwo King is just now starting to come up, and like that's my version of Melee. So listening to you talk about that stuff was kind of interesting. So I started getting into Melee, and within our nerd group of Melee people, there's also guys that are into anime, and then we go to an anime convention and we see more GNT4, and we get a copy, and then now there's like I don't know 3 or 4 of us in Austin that are now playing it, but they're also Melee players. So I started playing in Austin, with one of my close friends. His name was David Chang. He went by Changsta, and he was part of like I guess technically he was from Dallas or Plano area. And like Texas had all sorts of crazy, really good players. It's just such a big state. They're all over the place. But so that was kind of how I stumbled onto it. I just discovered it at an anime convention, and also discovered Melee at the same time, and discovered what competitive gaming was. And that got me really, I don't know, into it. It was so much fun. I wasn't very good at Melee. I play a very basic, simple Marth. All I want to do is edge guard spacies and counter and push. It's like tech skill is difficult for me in that game. It's just way too fast.
It's fast and
But
very little
that was my
buffering.
intro to it, and I somehow discovered a forum called Willvolution. Do you know what this is?
No, I don't. You were asking me about whether or not I know what Willvolution is, and I have no idea what Willvolution is.
Cool. So this is where I don't know how I discovered this. Let's just call it a forum. But at this point in time, this is like this is where I went back. I had to use Do you know what Wayback Machine is?
I don't know what Wayback Machine is.
So let's say you're trying to find a website that no longer exists. There is a website, a service called Wayback Machine. Google it right now if you want. That effectively like crawls through the internet and archives just whatever it potentially can go through. So it's effectively an archive of the internet that sometimes, like, it's not perfect, but it potentially can access things that are no longer hosted.
I could get Twitch emotes back. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. But Willvolution is still exists technically, but he changed the website and the forum is no longer accessible. But I thought to try this Wayback Machine because I wanted to try to find some content, or basically dates, because I couldn't remember some things. But I found this website I joined it in January 25th, 2006. Around this time frame, I'm playing GNT4 all the damn time with Chang. There's another guy in Austin who went by the name Jesus Freak. Both of these guys were Melee players that also were into anime, also into Naruto. So we played, like, there was just like the three of us in Austin. There's some guys in San Antonio, Gray Fox, and Smell the Opponent, I think is what his name was. I had it written down here somewhere. But basically, Texas had a scene of like maybe 10 people who played GNT4, and Texas is so goddamn massive that it's like, you can't just like go to the local and expect someone. So we would go to like local Melee events and try to host GNT4 side events, and it'd be maybe like 10 people, 12 people. But so we're playing this competitively, but we're like in our own little bubble where we don't know what's good, what's tech, what's the meta, what the tournament rules are. Like, this is all just by the seat of our pants. And somehow, one way or another, I discovered this Wilvolution website. At this point, I guess the internet exists pretty accessibly, and at UT, that it blew my mind that there was Wi-Fi.
2006 is the dawn of YouTube, so we're starting to get there.
Yeah. So I somehow find out about this website called Wilvolution, and it's like a FGC forum that has a lot of stuff on this Naruto franchise, the GNT franchise, and that's run by a guy named Will. His handle was The Will. So I guess Wilvolution, Evolution, and maybe playing off Evo. I don't know. But I find the website, I sign up, and I see all these people like sharing tech, combos, videos, talking about tournaments, and all of this is taking place in Florida. That's where this scene was, and I have old chats with people, like text documents of like strings where Kimimaru can 5x to interrupt, or where Itachi can counter super, like from years and years ago. And this exposed me to like the actual GNT4 scene where people were like sharing knowledge and tech and stuff. So Will hosts tournaments in Florida, like locals, whatever they call their series. But then he has like the big one called Wilvolution 05, 06, 07, 08, etc., etc. And I decided that I wanted to go. So I went in the summer of 06. I just turned 19. And I went to Florida only for GNT4, and got bopped because I didn't know what actually good players were. Like, I could do some stuff, but comparatively, like, they had a real active scene.
And it's a better understanding of how to play at a high level as a result, because they're playing against higher level players. Yeah, and it wasn't just in Austin. It was just me and Chang and maybe Jesus Freak. It was just three of us, and we don't have that big of a. How can you get better when you don't even know what else is out there? But something that really cracks me up about this, and I'll send it to you in Discord, is that one of the guys there has had a picture of me there. I'm on the left side of this. It's insane. So, wow. Yeah. So so this happens, right? Wilvo 06. At this point in time, I come back. So 07. I went to. Oh, I looked this up earlier. I have it written down here somewhere. Permission to put this into the overlay that people need to see. Yeah, go ahead. Sure. Have it written down here. Where you scared me, HebrewHammer. I thought my internet was giving out again. Please. Oh yeah, I'm frozen. Yeah, it's like no. I went to. Yeah, I was trying to give. I also did the thing where you're talking about like, what year was it? What did I do back then? I know I went to this thing, and I remember what it was called, but I didn't know what it was. So Wilvo 06, and I'm still like playing Melee with these guys, and they're talking about these like amazing tournaments. FC6 and this and that, and they saw this happen in the crew battles and blah blah blah. That's hilarious that Florida people remember it so fondly, because they got dunked on for a while until Hungrybox got good. This is actually the guys in Texas, in Austin. Like they're telling me about their experience. I mean, the guys in Florida too probably did. I mean, what's his face? Falco player from Florida. Can't remember his name. There was some Falco player that was like, at that point in time, an up-and-comer, but then became like a fucking demon. But you're talking about PPMD or Dr. PP, I think. But he's from Carolina. No, do you know the tag Caveman? Because that's the only OG Texas Melee player that I know of because of the documentary. He was out of the Valley
really far south.
That's hilarious. That's awesome.
He played really weird characters too. I remember him playing like a young Link, and also I don't know what you know about Melee, so I'm not trying to be condescending or anything, but like my perspective is from back then. Rob is from Texas.
Oh, right, because he didn't start out in Arizona. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, looking back, I'm like, oh wow, that's like I was like a fly on the wall, and I didn't know I was a fly on the wall. You know,
Samok should have found you.
Huh?
Samok should have found you.
Oh,
that's what I did wrong. Okay.
But the Melee guys in Austin are talking about all these things. Like, man, that sounds so cool. And these crew battles and the sleepover at the FC event and like all this crazy shit. So I went to, I think it was the last one, or at the time at least, whatever, I don't remember, but it was called FC Diamond.
You were at FC Diamond? Oh my gosh, I'm very jealous. Okay.
Yeah, so this was in July 2007, and
let's go Kish Prime
in a freaking like gym or YMCA or something in South Bend, I think is where
South Bend, Indiana. Yes, Kish Prime, yeah. Kish Squared. You would have met them, I'm sure, or at least they would have walked up and introduced themselves to you. They told me how important that was to them at the time to make sure everybody felt welcome at their tournaments.
Yeah, it was it was something else. So at that point in time though, I started playing Melee just casually, meeting up with them at our like casual sets on Friday nights and playing. I kind of stopped playing G&T because I was getting burnt out on it, and it to me at the time felt like it there was nothing more to learn. There was no more meta. It was done. It was too simple. There's no complexity. There's no room for it. That's what I thought, right? So this is like 07, 08, Street Fighter 4 comes out. I lived in an apartment. Behind my apartment, a guy opened up an arcade, Japanese style, where he imported Street Fighter 4. This was run by a guy named Ryan Harvey, who goes by Fubar Duck. He's pretty well known in the fighting game that side of the FGC. That's not Melee, right? Because there's this like, is Melee a fighting game?
There's this little invisible walls. There are some people who just don't look at Melee and say, "Oh, that's clearly FGC." Game. Yeah.
100%. And I play Third Strike. I play Super Turbo. I'm MVC2. Like I'm a man's game. It's like, okay, we're all nerds. Relax. But this arcade's right behind my house. He imports Street Fighter 4, which was an arcade release only, not in the United States. This is before it went to console. I start playing that all the damn time. So that continued my like.
You're competitive gaming because you're keeping the fire going. It's just transferring from game to game.
So fast forward through life, I graduate. I moved to Boise, Idaho, because I got a job at a place called Micron, which is a semiconductor company that you may or may not know what they make. They make RAM and SSDs. They don't sell their products are primarily sold to like large corporations, but they do have a consumer-facing brand called Crucial. Maybe you know that
No,
brand.
I don't. I don't have a Crucial SSD in my computer.
But you know the name, I guess. Regardless, after 3.5 years, I was done. I wasn't enjoying it. I left. And I found out that there was a company in Boise where I live that does video game testing in QA. So I got a job there as a tester. I basically started over my professional career. And I've been there ever since in QA, moving up. Now I'm a manager on a bigger project, but my whole world now is in that QA realm. My mind is always thinking analytically, problem solving, numbers, data. That's why I approach things a certain way. But during the pandemic, 2020, I started like I had some feelings of nostalgia, and I was like, is Melee still a thing? And I'm like, oh shit, it is really still a thing. And like there's still people from back. Oh, I remember Hungrybox being a younger Jigglypuff and like struggling, and now Mewtwo King is still crazy and around. I'm like, this is nuts. Are the old guys still there? Oh no, like there's the I watched
not everybody's still there. Yeah,
that documentary about like I guess the gods, like it had like no.
There's two big ones. You're thinking of the MLG era documentary that had As in Ken and and then like Mango was the new kid on the block in that documentary.
Yeah.
Like when nobody knew who he
Speaking
would
of
become.
MLG,
Yeah.
I remember I think it was also around 2007 time, the first MLG that had Melee. Somewhere in Texas. Maybe it was Austin, maybe it was Dallas.
It was
Can't remember,
MLG Dallas 2006.
Okay, yeah. I like that you can call it out so quick because like that's one world where I'm less knowledgeable of, but I know like the breadcrumb to like connect the dot, you know.
And I've watched the documentary more than a couple times, but
Yeah.
I know enough about the general history of Melee, which is always fun, but I couldn't tell you. Like I said, the only Texas Melee player from the MLG era that I knew was Caveman, because at the most 3 somewhere down there, I might not have even been in the state of Texas, it might have been somewhere else, was a legendary Melee set that happened, and Caveman was just a footnote because he got 3rd, and Grand Finals was the big set of that tournament. Anyway, please continue.
No, that's cool. That's funny that you're talking about most 3 because as I was going through my thing, some of the guys that I knew back then were talking about that specific tournament. So,
that's what's up.
Yeah. So yeah. So I'm getting nostalgic and I'm watching all these YouTube videos and those documentaries, and so I was like, oh, people can play Melee online with Dolphin NetPlay, and I start learning how to set that up. I go to Anthel's Ladder.
Anthers Ladders.
Right?
You should have waited a couple more months until Slippy came out, but anyway, please continue.
Yeah. So. This was literally right before Slippy was coming out, actually, because then eventually Slippy comes out. I have it; it's amazing. I just don't play it much, but it blows my mind. We need rollback in this, but we'll see. So I'm on there. I have my Mayflash adapter. I still have, actually, you can see them back here. My like OG GameCube controllers from back in the day. I literally carved a Z into this, so I knew it was mine because of my first name. This is from back then. I have a Wavebird around here too somewhere, but anyway, so I'm playing some games. It's fun, cool. I get connected with one guy, and he loads up. We connect. He gives me the code for the lobby. He starts it, and GNT4 pulls up. And I'm like, wait a minute. You can play other games. I didn't know. I legit didn't know that. I thought it was just Melee for some reason.
Well,
so not only
that's the most popular one, probably. I don't know.
Here's the thing, though. The only way for this to work is for 2 people to have the same ISO. All right. So it just so happens that this guy that I randomly paired up with on Smash Ladder had the GNT4 ISO and accidentally made a lobby for that, and I also had the ISO. So he started it, and I was like, hold on. If this is possible, does that mean people still play this? So this is 2020. I Google, I go to Reddit, I'm like GNT4 subreddit, GNT4 Discord, and I stumble onto the vanilla Discord. And that was around June 2020 that I discovered the vanilla GNT server. I was like, there's no fucking way people are still playing this game. And not only do people still play this game, but the meta evolved. There's more shit. Characters that my people, like my scene or my friends, thought were trash, such as Konkoro, the guy with the puppet, who's objectively top 1, 2, 3 pick. We thought he was trash. Like all these things, I was like, this is unbelievable. So I jump in, I introduce myself, and I'm talking to people like, yeah, I went to Wilvolution one of these years. I'm like, oh yeah, we went to. I was like, hold on. There's people that I met in Wilvolution 06 in this server. That picture is not mine. That was sent to me by a guy named Billy Ship, who goes by Pure Funked.
That's the person who invented Billy no Jutsu, right?
That's correct. That's right. It's named after him, BNJ. Right. So not only him, but Bukok, who I'm very close with now, we didn't meet in Wilvo 06 because he wasn't there, but the reason that I went through the damn Wayback Machine is I wanted to see if I could find any posts for myself, and I did. And like there are chats with Chang, my like homeboy, myself, Jesus Freak, and Bukok all in the same, and it blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, it really did happen. We really were connected 17 years ago. Now 17 years ago, then 14 years ago. I couldn't believe it. So that's why I talk about this background. Like I thought it was just, that was my past. It was my experience, and it was like a small thing. I would never talk or meet these guys again, and that's not the case. I stumble onto this Discord. There's guys that remember me from this thing and send me a picture of myself when I was 19. It's just, it blew my mind. And they're still playing this, and the game's evolved, and they're really good. And then 2 months later, I find out that there's a mod that, like as you said, tries to balance things, make it more competitive. And that's kind of how I reignited that flame of my love for GNT, because I never stopped liking it. I just thought that there wasn't more to it, and I was just very mistaken. So that's the really, I mean, I can't be short about it, but like that's like the story of how I discovered it, what happened in between, and then how I just totally by chance, if that guy didn't put GNT4 on accident in that Smash Later game, I wouldn't have ever thought to look for this like you did, right? You were thinking about it, and then you're like, oh, maybe. That would have never even been, that wouldn't have crossed my mind.
I got lucky by waiting, I suppose. Because if I had tried looking it up in, say, 2016, I probably would have had a much harder time finding it, because Discord was still really young at that point. I didn't even start using Discord until after the pandemic started, if I recall correctly. Anyway, but or maybe just before. Let's say just before, actually. Never mind. So I willingly ignored Melee's competitive scene because I thought it would never be something that I could actually get into. I come from a background where video games cringe. So I thought it'll just be gone because Brawl will come out and it'll be what takes over.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I was an internet user, so I would occasionally hear about Melee related things and just get that feeling of, huh, I just want to stop everything and go do Melee stuff, but alas, I'm too shy. And so it took a long time, but it wasn't until June of 2021, so I guess it'll be 2 years, that I began my competitive Melee career, if you will, by going to my first ever tournament.
Was it a local or what?
Yeah, it was just a local. Coming back from the pandemic, we all got vaxxed up in May and early June, and then at the end of June, it was, let's have a house fest. So we don't call them casuals in the Melee sphere. Although I do like using the word casual sometime because I think it sounds fun to say. But it's mostly a house fest, friendlies, and
friendlies. That's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and then there's like dittos or mirror matches.
Yes,
it's dittos, right?
Right, we call them dittos because of the Pokemon Ditto. Although technically you can't access that Pokemon in the regular game. That was just a programmed character that they dropped. But we still say Ditto anyway. Yes.
Yeah.
They added in Ditto into Ultimate, which is an unfortunate.
Where do you live, actually?
I live
Ditto's
in PA.
A playable character in Ultimate?
Ditto is not a playable character in Ultimate. Ditto is kind of like, you summon Ditto and they copy your opponent and turn into your opponent's character.
Summon Ditto? Is it an item or?
It's an item, yeah. You throw the Pokeball. Instead of Charizard coming out, Ditto comes out and goes, "Oh, your opponent is playing as Kirby. I will now become Kirby and attack your opponent's Kirby."
That'd be
anyway, I think they had that idea in Melee, but they just didn't do it.
I'm sorry. Where did you say you're from?
I'm from PA. We call it Pennsylvania. It says PA, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I was actually wondering about that because, as I said, I'm older, so my exposure is when things were current. It was 2001 when Melee came out, I think.
Right. And I was cognizant of it. It's just that in 2006, when I'm on YouTube and I'm watching Smash related things and I find competitive Melee, I go, this is the greatest thing in the world. I just am also going to be turning 11 at the end of 2006. So boy, oh boy, do I feel like I'm never going to be able to be part of this.
That's why I'm so interested about it, because so at my office, right, I have 400 people, roughly 400 people in the office on this team. And a lot of them are young, like 18 to 25-ish years old, and they're into Smash Ultimate, right? But a lot of them don't even know. I don't dislike it. It's interesting to me because I come from when I play any type of multiplayer game, when I play anything, I want to be competitive and efficient and high end and stuff. So I want to find out, that goes into stuff with Naruto as well, but how to be as efficient, as good as possible, learn all the information. How does the system work? Blah, 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 blah. Break it down to numbers. So it's objective, no gray area. So with Ultimate, I was like, okay, so there's no wave dashing, or you can kind of technically spot dodge.
It has startup lag. That's the problem.
Yeah. But there's all these reverse aerial rush. And I'm learning all these new things, and I'm like, watching videos, and I was really attracted to Mewtwo. I really like the way his movement is. He's my favorite Pokemon, period. But bottom line, these guys at the office, we have a setup in like the break room, and they play and they run little tournaments and stuff. And they actually don't use items, which shocks me, because like none of them know what the FGC is. So
but they intuitively understand. Good for them.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting because I don't know if you've ever tried to talk to someone who's into the game that you're into, but they don't know that there is a whole world beyond it. And then if you start talking about it, they're like, "What language are you speaking? What are you talking?"
Well, that's one of my favorite conversations ever, because I don't have to sell them on the game. I just have to sell them on the community and the competitive scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the reason I'm talking about this is it's interesting to me what the perception of Melee is for people in your age or even younger, because it is a 22-year-old game. It's older than some of the people that might be playing it.
We have youngins in the Melee scene, just not a ton of them.
How do they get into it? What do they think of it? Because their first exposure may be Ultimate, or maybe Smash 4 was before that, right?
That's exactly it. It's the new Smash game, and they go, what is this old game that I see that looks like the game that I like playing? And that's how they get into Melee. And of course, when you're on YouTube, the algorithm will throw you things. If you watch Smash videos, you will see either the Emperor Lemon Hungrybox documentary or the Smash documentary. Yeah, because those videos have hundreds of thousands, or in the Emp Lemon doc, that has almost 9 million views or 8.5 million views. So the algorithm just like pushes you stuff and it'll see if you watch it. And if you do, it'll throw you more. So people just kind of like, they tell me, oh, I'm an ult kid. I got into this game because I was playing Ultimate. I saw Melee, and now I like playing.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You could be a doc kid. You can be an ult kid. You could be a Slippy kid. There's a lot of Slippy kids. When rollback Melee became a thing, a lot of people said, oh, wow, is this functioning online Smash? Because Smash Ultimate runs off of Windows 95 servers. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but Nintendo uses servers that were intended to be used by Windows 95 computers. And that's one of the reasons, well, one of the many reasons why it sucks. It's also bad hardware. You know that the Wii and the Wii U and the Switch are not exactly high-powered machines. And finally, a lot of these kids are using Wi-Fi connections, which also hurts my feelings a lot. But the point is that Ultimate online is trash and people hate it. So when Slippy came out, everybody said, check this out. You can do rollback netcode in Melee, and the connection is seamless. It's flawless compared to Ultimate. It's not the most perfect netcode ever. I guess I've never played a game that has...
You can play with someone across the world when you couldn't ever.
Right.
Period.
Right. So exactly. You can have you can have seamless, flawless gameplay in a game that you don't like as much because it's not Ultimate, or you can have fun with Ultimate netcode. That is up to you. And a lot of people tried Melee, so as a result, Slippy kids.
Yeah, wow. At Combo Breaker, I entered Ultra Street Fighter 4 for some fun, and I was talking to someone. I was like, yeah, I play. So he's like, oh, so you're an 09er? I was like, yeah, I guess so. Because I think that's when it came out on console. I don't know, but it's a similar term, right, to designate your generation. So, and even for me, I always felt like I was a latecomer to fighting games, because in Austin had a very like legit like hardcore arcade when they had arcades, like street third strike scene, like these older guys that are like 35, 40. This is like in 2005 timeframe. Like it was so like the Alex Valle days of like before Evo, when it was called Battle by the Bay or something like that. Before it was a different tournament name before they changed it to Evo. But like that's my world, and I like looking at that past. But anyway, that's very cool, and it's just But the nice thing is that there's a lot of crossover between the Melee. There are people who play Melee, and there are people who play GNT. So some of the guys in the server play Melee, I'd see them streaming and talking shit to each other, or they entered Ultimate, or at Combo Breaker and stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of as small of a nutshell as I could make it. My experience in it. It just there's so many reasons why this game, this community means so much to me. Is just I couldn't make it up if I wanted to, and I think it's just so cool. So that's that part. But I mean, what else would you want to know or talk about? Like,
so think about these younger gamers that you work with at your job, where they play the game that they grew up with, the game that they know, or it's the latest and hottest thing. You get to a point in your life, and I think HebrewHammer, you would feel the same way, that you say to yourself, I don't need to play the latest and the greatest because there's something about it that I don't necessarily like. And now I'm going to let that be a deal breaker instead of me going, ugh, buy it anyway. Like there was a point where I vaguely knew, because again, I'm an internet dwelling person. I watched lots and lots of YouTube. I saw these review bombs. I saw these people posting YouTube videos of why Brawl is trash compared to Melee because of the mechanics being totally just stripped away. And I go, well, it has Subspace Emissary. I'm going to buy it. And so I did, and I play a lot of Brawl. Brawl is
Rob the Robot and Wolf and
Meta Knight, yes.
Yeah.
So I get to the point where then it's about 2015 when Smash 4, the Wii U version comes out, and I had not bought a Wii U up to that point, but I go, well, I'm gonna buy it, obviously. And then I bought a Switch just to buy Smash Ultimate, and now I'm done, because even on the first day when it's brand new, I just downloaded it onto the Switch because I had no other games. I haven't touched any other Switch game except for maybe Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for like 5 seconds, but I didn't even buy the game myself. I played it on somebody else's Switch. But I'm playing Ultimate and I'm going, oh, this is awful. This feels awful. Why does it feel awful? And then you watch the YouTube videos on buffer system, input delay. It's a rough scene out here. So when I look back at Melee, it has the responsiveness that I like feeling in a game, and it's what I grew up with. I grew up on Smash 64, to be honest with you. That's my second favorite Smash game. I really love that in Smash Remix, the mod for Smash 64, but it's what I'm familiar with, and to me, it captures the right what's the word that I want here? The right thesis. Play, game, get good. Ultimate doesn't feel like that to me. It feels like play, game, have fun, which I want to have fun, but I want to have fun by being good.
Yeah, and that's the whole weird relationship with the Smash FGC and what's his name? The guy that is just in charge of all of Smash.
Who's in charge of Smash? I would actually be really interested to hear.
The Japanese guy, the guy that
Oh, sorry, you mean the director, Masahiro Sakurai? Yeah.
Yeah, Sakurai. So his intention is a party game, a fun game, not competitive, and that's my understanding was that Melee was an accidental beauty of a thing. Wave dash is unintentional. All these other things that people discover and these crazy tech, and then all the stuff that hacks comes out with optimizing this and the hitbox and the game, the memory card adapter, UC, all these things, right? That's
Sakurai knew about wave dashing. That was a thing. He did know about wave dashing. We have documented evidence to prove that.
Okay. Well, fair enough. But seeing where Brawl went, I remember being at UT and we got a copy of Brawl. We shared it with everybody and we put it on modded Wii's or however people did it. And we're like, this is terrible, because we're used to being able to, what you're describing to me, what I'm hearing you describe is what I tried to describe to people back then as to why I enjoy Melee so much versus other 2D fighters like Street Fighter, where those Street Fighter especially is quite rigid in its movement. You're not as free to do whatever you want. You can't express yourself as easily, because in Melee, you don't have to face your opponent. You can run away. You can run through them. Oh my God, Ultimate, you can't run through someone.
It kills me.
I can't get over it. But
that and ledge trumping, I hate that as well. Let me ledge hog. Let me ledge hog, please.
Yeah. So I'm one of the people I respect people's opinions because you can't tell someone how to feel. An opinion can't be wrong, subjective, but it's okay to say I don't like this. It's okay if you do, but I don't, and this is why. And I'm not wrong for in this case. I don't like that. I like Melee because this is that. So I totally get it. I hear you, and I think it's really cool that it's still a thing. And it's a shame that it takes, well, maybe a shame or maybe actually like a blessing in disguise that it takes modders to make like Project M or whatever, this remix, Smash remix, the 64 remix one. And that's where we went with SCON actually. Um,
Yes,
to,
indeed. And we'll get into that because
mhm,
my bridge of how do we get to a modified version of GNT4 is
mhm.
the first desire was probably most likely to beat the region lock. Is that correct? Is that one of the first thoughts of
I
we
don't
just
think
want to.
so, because there was never really an issue with region lock. You could either get one of these freeloader discs, you could buy a Panasonic Q. Granted, back then those were pretty expensive. You can mod apparently a Wii with, I mean, a GameCube with a Switch like your cousin. But
Mm.
at that point, but by the time that they started doing these mods, working on a mod, pretty sure the Wii homebrew was already a thing.
And
And
Nintendo was already a thing, so there was no issues
exactly,
on
so
that
the
regard.
region
Got
lock
it.
isn't so much a problem. It was more about, um, at least my take on it. And I've over these last couple days or last 24 hours, I guess, since you messaged me, right? I've talked to some of the developers and some of the people that have been part of this scene prior to 2020 when I was when I rediscovered it, about like a history lesson, so to speak, like time frame, discovery, how it was done, why it was done, all these different things. So
Mm-hmm.
um, my take and what I've gathered from it, it was effectively GNT4 is an incredibly imbalanced game. There are clear top tiers
Mm.
and clear beyond terrible, useless characters that cannot deal with the top tiers. Like a simple example, like Eno and Vanilla, which I get in GNT4, you know, maybe she's not completely awful, but one of the funniest things about her is that her standing throw does 0 damage and she can't get a guaranteed follow up on it. What? How? What? Why is that a thing? And then you have someone like Itachi or Kisame or literally Kankuro who has 2 people on the field that are so much more privileged and with frame data and health and damage and chakra draining supers and whatever it may be. The game was not designed to be a balanced competitive game. It was designed to be a fun arena fighter for Naruto fans, which is fine. But in terms of attempting to balance it, that I think was what the main motivation is, and perhaps just having fun and tinkering. Because I've talked to some of the old heads that are part of that original time frame, and some of them are just really into development, and they started diving into comparing GNT 1, 2, and 3, 4, and the Shippuden games on Wii and or Revolution games, and then also comparing it to other aiding games. You talked about Tomy. They're the publisher, but they partnered with Aiding, who's the developer of the game.
Okay.
So Aiding also made Bloody Roar Extreme, which was a GameCube game, and I don't know much about it, but it's effectively, it uses like same engine, same, a lot of the same system mechanics. And when I talked to these guys, they compared those two things and were able to extrapolate a lot of stuff between Bloody Roar Extreme and apply it to GNT. I can't, I don't quite understand some of the stuff that Abik was telling me about how he found some workaround to dump the game into Dolphin that then it kind of like he found the needle in the haystack is kind of how I interpret it. And that
Hmm.
allowed him and then others to start collaborating and modifying the game. And this effectively started like around 2017 era with various iterations of a modified game. I think it started off they called it let me see what I was talking to Kite Sage, who's also one of the currently active
Mm.
devs.
Reloaded,
Um,
perhaps GNT4 Reloaded or Special Edition Master Class.
yeah, Remix in 2017, then Remix V3, then Remastered. that kept on being called Remastered for a while, and then they decided to call it Super in July 2020. This was right around when I'm there, and I discovered, oh, you guys have a mod, and then I check it out. I was like, this is amazing. So I think it's a pretty noble approach. Like they're not trying to just like make a silly thing, like just, oh, everyone does 1,000,000 damage and it's all one hit KOs. It's like, this game could be amazing if it was just balanced and take out glitches and infinites and bugs and issues, and just kind of
some more costumes as well would also be appreciated. Let's go.
Yes. I'm like incredibly like biased to that, because they put in my Eno costume that I made a long ass time ago as one of the alts. So I was like, yeah. More costumes are awesome because, right? Yeah. Up until that point, there were only two. You
right.
Press A or you press Y.
Yep.
But Sakura and Eno always had 4 costumes, and so does Haku, I think, technically. Mask on, mask off, and different colors. Eno and Sakura had their standard color and their alternate color, and then short hair, long hair. So eventually they worked on it, and they discovered a way to add more costumes. So then they got all these custom textures, which you may have seen at Combo Breaker. But yeah, I believe the main motivation was attempt to modify the game to make it more balanced and hopefully make something better. It's more enjoyable. Not to say that people don't enjoy GNT4. People still play that today still, and a lot of people prefer it. They want the original, all the jank, all the ridiculousness, and find a way to make it work. And I can understand that. There, at a certain point though, you can objectively say that in certain circumstances, it is too skewed in one person's favor to be fair, and therefore not enjoyable perhaps for that individual. That's my take on it. But I think overall, SCON is amazing in terms of what they've been able to achieve in so many ways. And I could go on and on and on, but just the simple version is that effectively making every character viable to some level, especially compared to vanilla, is, I think, probably one of the biggest goals that a fighting game should have if they want to be competitive, right? Melee, let's pretend they wanted it to be a competitive game. Like, that's their goal. So why is Pichu hurting himself, right, when he attacks? That mechanics makes no sense, right? So things like that. So
yep.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. What next?
So there's a clear difference between a couple of the games that I follow. We obviously talk about Melee being the biggest comparison because that's the community that I'm like definitely most involved with. I also think about Smash 64 because the Smash Remix team leaves the original cast alone, totally untouched. They import the European and Japanese versions of the characters into the mod so that you can play a sort of patched Ness or Link if you really want to from the 64 era, if you want to. But again, they don't add anything of them of their own volition. They don't make Link's recovery actually good. His recovery is still absolutely trash. It is what it is. But when they add in the other characters, they're adding in different characters like Mewtwo and Marth because they go, we want
they added characters, new characters in the vein of the style of 64. I see. Okay.
Yep. And I don't know how much Smash 64 you ever played, but it's fun to play as
super casually back in the day.
Yeah, it's super. It's fun to play as Mewtwo, and Mewtwo and PM is extremely good, actually. Probably dummy busted top tier depending on which version of PM we're talking about. But
is he in Brawl?
He's not. No, they imported him into... Okay, the reason why PM got started was because somebody said we should make Brawl Falco like Melee Falco.
Yes, no, yeah. Let's make Brawl into Melee-esque.
Well, they specifically wanted to fix Falco. That's how it got started, and then they just kept piling on after that. Okay, but it's fun to play as somebody like Mewtwo with somebody understanding the 64 top tier meta. And in 64, you have 5 stocks because you can 0 to death somebody so easily as a top player. So they go, how are we supposed to add in a character who's supposed to 0 to death you, but at the same time not make them ridiculously overpowered? That's such a fun conversation to have. So when it comes to Naruto, I see the tier list and no one's below C, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. So when I was listening to your podcast, I took a few notes on stuff that you discussed, and tier list was one of the first things that I wrote down. But what you finish your thought?
No, I wanted to say, if your goal is to take, what is it, 37 characters and make them all viable to some degree, that is not as easy of an undertaking.
Oh, not at all.
As you would say at face value. The whole thing about people saying Melee should be modded more to make the low tiers more viable in the competitive meta, I think the reason why it hasn't happened is
it's an incredibly naive and ignorant thing to say.
It's really tricky. You can say that, but then putting into practice is incredibly difficult, because you can make Pichu no longer damage himself. You can make some of his moves have higher priority or bigger hitboxes, smaller hurt boxes, although he's already small to begin with. So he would actually be quite good if his moves had a little bit more if they had better use, further reach, while also keeping him ridiculously small. When Pichu was released in Ultimate, before any patches came through for that game, there were people pushing for tournament wins as Pichu because he was strong and had a small hurt box size and could duck under attacks literally by crouching, which is funny, because in Smash you don't normally think to yourself, I will crouch and duck underneath an attack. No, everybody shields to block attacks in Smash games in general. That's
low percent you crouch cancel and blah, blah,
blah. Yes, but you're tanking a hit when you crouch cancel. I'm talking about literally, I'm talking about literally low profiling. In Naruto, this is easy. You do a what's it, a 2B to do a sweeping kick.
I want to talk about that stuff later, but yes, you can do that. But there's more to it. That's the thing about Naruto, actually, that at face value it seems incredibly simple, but there's all these other things that I learned after I rejoined the community that I didn't know existed.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm learning. I'm starting to get into all this, and that's great. I know a lot about Melee, but I still don't know a lot about Melee. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are so many levels, and so that's why I'm saying that is a massive undertaking to say, let's take 37 characters and let's have even the worst character in the game be usable in tournament. Not able to win the tournament necessarily, but we want this character to be usable in tournament, to not make the user of that character feel like, oh gosh, well, this is completely hopeless. I'm playing Bowser.
Lost.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a big undertaking. And I said earlier, it's when people say, "Oh, just balance everybody." I say it's naive and ignorant, and I don't mean it harshly. I mean it objectively, because unless you have insight into what it takes to do that, what it takes to be part of a development team, you can't just say those things and it's going to happen like that. Especially when it's made by a grassroots community that isn't an actual corporation that has, I don't know, a staff of people dedicated, multiple people to individual characters, individual mechanics, whatever it may be. SCON, in its entire existence, has had like 10-ish developers that were involved in design and had the ability, technical knowledge to do coding. Now we have roughly, 4 or 5 that are active and really engaged and have the technical know-how to do the things that we want as a community want to do. I don't know what it takes for Melee, but I can't imagine that there's a massive group and organized with proper organizational structure and project management and all these things. Exactly. So the goal and the attempts are, noble, and they make sense, but it takes time, and you may not. Do you know the concept of unknown unknowns? Things you don't know that you don't know about. So let's say Pichu, right? You take away his self damage. That probably won't impact things down the line. It will improve his survivability. But what if that improvement in his survivability now means that combos that people normally know that will be guaranteed don't work anymore? Or what if you increase, now that aside, what if you increase his range on his hitboxes, and now that has some bizarre cascading effect down the line that a matchup that was even-ish is now unbelievably imbalanced because you don't know what your change to a hitbox is going to do in some bizarre circumstance or something.
What about air acceleration when you are jumping in the air and you're not moving left or right, but then you want to start moving left or right? How fast do you get to top speed? Because there's air acceleration for every character in Melee.
Exactly. So all those nuances can only be discovered with time and like appropriate testing and just attention given to it. And that's very difficult when you don't have a lot of people, and let alone the bandwidth to do it, because every single person who works on this game does it it's a labor of love. They do it on their free time for free, somehow have to support themselves with whatever their job or career is, and then spend time on this. And as much as they have done, I think, a remarkable job at balancing the game, there arguably are things that could still be changed, or were overtuned, or completely ignored, or things that they couldn't foresee being stronger ahead of time. So I think it's always going to be a work in progress, because there's 37 characters, like you said. If you want to tune every single one, that's a lot of time. There's not a lot of people. So I still think, though, in terms of tier lists are also tricky because, there's some objectivity to it. But once you get into the kind of like mid tiers, like I don't know, I'm looking at it right now. This last one that was posted on the wiki, like Irika is voted as the lowest tier. Why? Is it because he has no exposure? No one plays him. No one has explored him. No one uses him. So they just think that he's bad. Because if you look at his kit, he's actually quite strong in many ways. He has second highest life, 230, maximum's 240. He has a reversal super, which is the 4x, which isn't a true reversal, and I can get into that detail later. He has hard-hitting strings. So he deals a lot of damage. He has a teleport that is the only teleport in the game that can steal corner. He has an air throw. He has strings that teleport. So he has the makings of a pretty decent character. But there are small things here and there that kind of just fuck his play, or he can't handle some of the higher tiers, or perhaps there are just better versions of it, like Mizuki, right? Like he can do some things that Irika does, but better. So, they put him lower. But is he actually, like, he's the bottom, but does that mean he's terrible? I don't think so. And the idea, in my opinion, is to make everybody viable, and I think they are. I don't think there's any match that's 10-0, let's just say it that way, or even 9-1, or even 8-2. I would say at worst, maybe there's some 7-3s, definitely 6-4s, and so on and so forth. But I don't think anything is so incredibly imbalanced that it's undoable, unplayable. And I think that's a lot to achieve. And granted, this stuff has been going on for years. This isn't like, a couple months or something. But if people have patience and time, and they take their emotions out of it and give respect to the people doing this work, then the things will happen. It just takes time. It also takes input and being respectful to the people who are doing the work and their point of view, and why, no, we won't do that because you don't understand what that means if this happens and it affects these things and that things. They just say, my character doesn't do enough damage, increase the damage on their moves, or give them more life, or give them an air throw, or give them a teleport, or give them this or that or whatever. It's a tricky thing, and until you are on the other side, I'm not even on that side of the fence. I'm observing. I just happen to have insight because of my professional career, seeing what it's like. I'm on the QA side of things, so I like third-party vendor, right? Clients hire us to do the QA, so I see that side of things, how the development cycle is, how long it takes, all these different iterations and builds. One change breaks everything. Why? Well, now we have to go figure that out. But they have like hundreds of people, or maybe it's an indie studio that has 2 people, right? So it takes a lot of time. But the tier list itself, I don't think you or anyone should take it as gospel, because this is input from many people, top players, with people disagreeing on many things. And at the end of the day, as you were saying in the last podcast, pick someone that you feel a connection to, that you want to play. Maybe you like the character in the show. Maybe you like the play style that this character can do in the game. Maybe you like the way their moves work, whatever. There will be someone that will click and connect with your desirable play style. Whether you want a turtle, rush down, zone, whatever. It exists. It's just you have to be patient, and I would say really try to understand how the system works. And that's what I didn't know back in 2005, that you're talking about sweeps, 2Bs. The game at face value seems simple. You have 2 buttons, B and A. Bs are typically physical attacks, and A's are some kind of projectile. Some characters, A button does a physical attack. But beyond that, there are attack properties that change the interactions. So in Melee, Shine, right, has 1 frame of invulnerability, right? Fox Shine, right? Or even Falco too.
Falco and Fox both have a frame 1. It comes out, and that's also when they're invulnerable.
Right? So they don't have a hurt box. You can't hit them. Or you can't do damage to them on frame 1, right? So in Naruto, there are moves like that, but they have different types of props. So there's the attacks in Naruto have heights, high, mids, and lows. But lows don't automatically beat highs. They can. Your 2B, the sweep, will go under a punch. But more so, there's a property of moves that they're called high crush and low crush, where within the move itself, it doesn't have to be a low, it doesn't have to be a high, it can be a mid as well, it depends. The move has invulnerability to certain types of attacks. So this information is in the wiki, and I love getting, this is the stuff I absolutely love, is understanding, why did I lose this interaction, right? I'm punching them, I think my attack is faster. Well, I can look in the frame data by going into the debug mode and setting it up and blah, 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 blah. Or I can look at the collected data that's already been, shared. But even then, okay, these 2 moves are the same speed. Why am I still losing? So it maybe turns out that this move, I'm throwing out a high, and they're throwing out a move that has the high crush property. So it's just literally invulnerable to my attack. Even though the hitboxes overlap, it beats my move. So
it's essentially like priority in Smash.
It is very similar to priority, yeah. So it basically but it's not, there's no, without going into debug or diving deeper into the system mechanics, there's no obvious explanation when you just see it happen in the game. And I don't think Melee would even have that either. You would have to, there's been so much development in the, I guess, some kind of debug mode showing all the hitboxes. Or I guess there's spheres in Melee as well, right?
There are, yes.
Yeah. So Naruto's the same way, because it is a 3D game, technically. And you did talk about how it plays kind of like Tekken or Virtual Fighter, and I don't disagree. The biggest difference I find is that it's so much faster.
Which we like.
Yes, I do as well. And that's one of the things they changed in SCON, is they removed run stop.
Heck
allowed, yeah. And there's a lot of changes to movement.
No more somersaulting backwards. Heck yeah.
Backdashes are actual backdashes. They're not like Street Fighter backdashes where you have invulnerability frames, but you don't do a cartwheel.
Cartwheel was slow. I never did cartwheels, and back in the day, I was like, I'm just gonna get hit. It's like a roll, except you're willingly doing it.
Yeah, that's one very simple example of this doesn't make sense if the intent is to be competitive. But anyway, so your original question on the tier list, or like, I guess it was, are they able to do it, or what is the expectation, or what exactly were you, I guess, thinking about?
When Mikey and I were talking about the tier list, I think my point was they did like their thesis was to try to balance every character to making them viable,
Yes.
not necessarily all top tiers, but to make them all viable. And I appreciated that. I didn't like
Yes.
get into, well, I don't know the weeds or the thesis statement. I could just tell by the way that the characters I've tried in the gameplay and by the fact, look, nobody's an F, and even
Yes.
these lower like Naruto is in B or
B.
C, and he's
Yeah.
not supposed to be like super fantastic and special, and like, you know, he doesn't have things like taking away other
Chakra.
characters' chakra, but he has the gate thing where you can like do the power up into ZTK or whatever you call him when he's got when he's got the glow around him,
right.
which is super
Yep.
cool. And he's got a lot of nice bread and butter combos into his supers. And wake up super, when you're ZTK, he can lunge forward and hit you with his super, which I abuse all the time on Mikey because we haven't gotten to that point where he's super good at the game yet, but I just kind of knock him down and I have enough to do the super. I tilt the control stick forward after initializing it, and Naruto will not lean into it. He will jump at you and initiate the super as ZTK, which I think is super fun.
This is something else that I noted during your podcast is you were talking about he was saying, what would you want to see different? And you were suggesting, oh, I wish the super startups were more variable. There was more variety in them. And there's actually a ton of variety in the supers in this game, but it's not obvious because those properties that I'm talking about, whether they high crush or low crush, they're not inherently clear. But many moves have certain properties that make them entirely different, and the startup frame, like the frame data are all over the place. The travel distance are all over the place. What you're describing with ZTK he's not the only one that has stuff like this. Actually, base Naruto has this as well. Naruto has 3 supers. Actually, first of all, do you know the notation that we use? The octagonal rotation.
Yeah. 9, 3, and 6. 9, 3, and 6 are facing forward. 8, 5, and 2 are neutral, and then 1, whatever. I know the map thing. I can visualize it again, but describing it with words, I've never been good at describing things with words. I'm just visualizing it.
Imagine, I'm gonna send you a picture in chat.
I saw the picture thing already. I know what it is.
All right, fine. But what it is the game doesn't have motion-based inputs. It's not Street Fighter,
right? And it's not Melee either. It's just literally these 9.
No. It's actually exactly like Melee. That it's directionals. We don't have tilts, but they're directions. So it's forward, left, back. It's forward, back, up, and down. Right?
Yeah, but it's not like there's like a secret hidden coordinate between the 7 and the 4, or between the 9 and
there's no like notches or anything like that.
Right. That's what I was getting at.
Sorry, yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the simplicity of it. That there's like the game is simple, but also has complexity beyond it. Mm-hmm. What I'm getting at is the notation that we talk about is the numpad, like a traditional numpad, right, on your desk.
Yep.
And if you're facing right. So 5 is neutral, 4 is back, 6 is forward, 8 is up, 2 is down. And the reason we say that is just easier to say instead of back. Because a lot of people say back B or forward B, down B, whatever. It's the same shit. Bottom line, what I was talking about supers, base Naruto, before he transforms into ZTK, he has 5X, where he does his Naruto Renden, his little up as he kicks you and then he slams you down.
Yeah, it's like Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda.
Sure. He also has a 2X, which is Rasengan.
Yep.
And then he has a 6X where he jumps forward and does his animation from 6B, which is the same lunge forward slam, but that super is again another Naruto Renden. It actually does 5 more damage. For some reason, the activator does a little bit more damage. But even he has 3 different supers that all have different frame data, all have different damage. And then on top of that, he has a 4X, this transformation into ZTK. In ZTK, he has a 5X, where he does just do a shoulder slam and goes into that same super. Or he has what you were describing, 6X, where he lunges forward really far. So there's a lot of variety with the supers in this game. and he's not the only one. Kiba has stuff like this. Anko has different supers. Choji, Mizuki, and Iruka. Every single person has different supers, and some of them have even variants of the same ones. Ino's 2 supers are incredibly different, but visually they look identical at first. She has a version where she has an invisible projectile, very short range, but very wide hitbox. So it's very difficult to step, but you can grab it. So it's tricky. And that happened to me at Combo Breaker. Broke my heart, but that was my fault. Her other super, it goes like half the screen, but it's tiny. So it's easier to step, but it can be thrown from long distance to whiff punish even. Kiba is quite unique. His 5X has frame 0 high crush properties. So when you press the button, the screen freezes, and someone's jabbing you with like a meaty jab, it's gonna win. So there are tons of different properties for supers and all these things, but it's not obvious because you need to learn how the system even works before understanding what's happening to you, and that isn't always fun. But I like that stuff, but that can be a barrier to entry. Like if you were to play someone who's, I played Melee as a kid, I always beat the level 9 computer, I'm pretty good, and then you play them, and they're like, what are you doing? How do you move like that? What's going on? Like, and then they're like, I don't even want to try. So yeah, do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff going on with this mod that we've tried to, I think, is documented relatively well. There's a wiki that they're working on and improving, and I like to do my own data collection of things. I've looked at maps and chip damage and all these different things. I just get really into it. I'm really interested in that stuff. But in terms of the tier list, I would ignore it. Use it as a guide, but don't, if I pick Naruto who's B tier, I can't beat Kankuro. It's going to be hard, but it's doable.
I was able to beat my brother's Kankuro, although his main is Itachi, which, that's fun when he starts trying to teleport behind me and starts jumping and summoning clones down on me, spamming. Which I just need to use more of my A moves to mix in, because as of now I'm a really big B guy. Love my punches, so need to use more of the A coordinate stuff. I mean, I don't know about summoning a clone to approach and start hitting, because I don't really like the idea of using chakra for that, but I need to incorporate all that stuff more. I wish the startup, the one thing I actually think, despite all the complaints that I have about Naruto, I wouldn't actually change a single thing about him except for the startup time of his 2A. I think it's just a hair too long to summon the clone from below, but that's literally the only thing I would change. I wouldn't make it twice as fast even. I'd cut off either 2 or 3 frames, and then I'd be happy. So I'm gonna stick with Naruto, because I'm, like I said, I'm like only one gripe that I actually would want to have changed with the rest. I'm very content to get used to his kit and get used to playing against any other character, but I'll get in some games with Tacos. So Tacos and I know each other from Melee because we both play in the same region, or at least we used to. I don't know if Tacos is still in 717, which is the region of PA that I'm from.
He moved from Puerto Rico to move there, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. So we've played Melee before, so it was funny seeing Tacos in SCON4, the SCON4 server, and going, hey, and Tacos is like, I'm the best Sasuke, and I thought to myself, somebody's mad right now. But we're gonna get in some games. I just played against somebody who also plays SCON4 in my region. We looked at each other like, did we just become best friends? It was super fun. His Sasuke is just fast, where I go, okay, so I got to learn how to get around Sasuke's superior, or at least in my mind for the moment, superior approaching and jabbing. I can't just blindly go in myself, so we got to get used to finding times to whiff punish and finding things that beat jabbing, because if you just approach mindlessly, yes, the person who you're playing against will get used to you approaching mindlessly and then punish. So I'm in the beginnings of finding my meta, but in the same way that I say this about Melee, the same rule applies. I don't like playing against top players when I'm bad at the game because there's nothing that they're gaining. And honestly, there's nothing that I'm gaining. I like the idea of learning to DI in Melee, or in this game, learning to pick my substitution moments, or learning to maneuver around the screen more while they're looking for their openings. But once they start hitting me, it's happening so quickly that I'm just watching a cutscene. So I'm not a good enough player where I could play against I mean, Tacos is a really good player. I understand that, but Tacos is going to treat me gentle when we first start playing. I'm very confident in saying that. So we'll get broken in that way, and then I'll be ready to get in some games with other people from the SCON4 server, and then who knows, maybe get around to a combo breaker at some point. Even though it is far away, it's not impossibly far away. Thankfully, Chicago's like, that's a drive. It's not even flying there. I could drive there.
Yeah, so there's so much that you said that I want to respond to, but yeah, all that is pretty accurate. Tacos is a fucking character, but he's good. He's good vibes. I met him in person last year at CEO Taku. I think he's a good dude. He's a little wild, but he's fun to be around. So Sasuke is an interesting character because I don't think I'm the only person who would say he's a very good kind of all around new, like just good character. Nothing too crazy about him, nothing too special, but except for having Sharingan cancels really makes him quite intense and difficult to deal with. He also has a quite strong back B, but he's nothing super flashy or crazy teleports and everything. He does have a teleport when he's in Sharingan mode. And not even normal. That one's really slow. But something about him is when he goes into Sharingan, there is a mechanic that allows him to go out of Sharingan called Sharingan Cancel. So any move in the game that is super cancelable has the property to be used in such a way to go out of your transformation, including ZTK. But ZTK can de-transform. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Oh yes, I've done it by accident before. It's just like I always pinch myself because I'm very annoyed that I did it.
And it doesn't have a hitbox like the transformation does, which is unfortunate. I actually like using it as a weird. I like using it as a weird mix-up, but with Sasuke, he can jab. His 5B is super cancelable. So when he's in Sharingan mode, he can do jab, cancel, Sharingan cancel, which cuts off a ton of his recovery frames to continue the pressure, which is one of the it's a very basic mechanic for him, but it allows him to keep it going. He also has a slightly faster jab than Naruto, only by 1 frame, but that's fast enough to beat you in a neutral situation.
Right, exactly.
So it's an interesting matchup. So you were talking about your friend playing Itachi and teleporting behind you. Teleports are really strong in this game. Itachi has a really good one. Onko actually has a very good teleport. So does Orochimaru. And Zabuza has one. It's a little slow. Zabuza is crazy all over the place. But something specific for Itachi that you were talking about using your A moves. Sidestepping is a ridiculously strong tool, but it's difficult. But it can make or break matches. At the end of the day, what you're saying about the game is completely accurate. It is a very difficult game to get into at a competitive level and enjoy because you won't know why you're losing, right? You're playing against someone who's better than you. Let's not even say like super top tier. And I subbed and then he grabbed me and then I'm dead. What just it was 7 seconds. What happened? Yeah, it's incredibly punishing. I don't know of many games that are this ridiculous when it comes to, you pushed the button wrong in this one moment. Okay, now you're dead. Like Melee has stuff like that too. You got tippered or whatever, but like it's different mechanics altogether. And subbing.
Ooh, you should watch this. I'm gonna give you homework to do too, because I always get annoyed when people give me homework, even though I try to do it faithfully, honestly. But we're gonna have you watch a modern Melee set, and when I say modern, I'm talking post Slippy era. People talk about how in 2013 and in 2014 everybody got so good, but that was the era of the 5 gods. Things have changed. The top player of Melee is not infallible anymore. where you could expect them to finish top 3 at every tournament. That is not the case anymore. Number 1 ranked player in the world, Zane, currently has finished like at 7th place as big tournaments last year. So like barely making top 8, that kind of thing. So I will pull up a set of him versus another up and coming. Well, I say up and coming. That's not accurate. He's very much established now, but very good player. So we'll get that to you. But no, the the punish thing, the punish game, that is my favorite part of any game that I've come to enjoy, other than the freedom of movement. So freedom of movement matters to me. The controls feeling responsive, that matters to me a lot. But being able to actually hit somebody and making them feel it, because maybe it's it's funny that I'm comparing it to IRL sports. Careful, for those of you who are listening who care nothing about sports, try to hang in there with me. When you watch football players hitting each other, it's not so much me saying, yes, they're permanently damaging their bodies forever, this is glorious. It's not so much that I enjoy. It's the fact that they are saying, I want you to be stopped so badly that I will sacrifice my body to make you stop, like right now. Or vice versa, the player saying, I'm holding the ball, I want to continue to the thing and score the points so badly that I will not let you, the defender, tackle me. So I'm just going to either flip by you, run you over, that kind of thing. I love hits that actually matter. So in games like Ultimate, I maneuver around somebody's attack, I whiff punish, and I go, boom, I got you for like 12%, and now we're resetting into neutral. This is not fun. But in Smash 64, in Melee, in SCON4, I made you miss. I hit you. Oh, look at that! All of your health is gone because I was able to execute this super sick combo. Not because it was easy as mashing B, because it's more complicated than that. But once you master the punish side down, you feel this immense feeling of satisfaction on doing that. And that's why SCON4. Now that I've been playing it, it was more than just a game that I played as a child that I enjoyed playing. Now it's, oh, this gives me the same kind of vibe that Melee and Smash 64 in particular, because those are the other 2 games I enjoyed the most. This gives me the same vibe. You can hit people hard. That matters so much to me.
Yeah. There's a lot of TODs in Melee in SCON and GNT4 in general. But yeah, and that's what I like that part of the game as well. I think many people in GNT and SCON like that concept that it is a mental chess, whatever you want to call it. It's a mind game. You have to somehow trick your opponent into
I did say it as fast-paced chess.
Disadvantageous situation to where now, okay, cool, I've trapped you, it's checkmate. There's always a chance that the person drops their combo, or they're positioned awkwardly,
or reversals. That's also true.
Yeah, so that's where the game starts to move past like button mashing, move past, oh, I'm going to sub every time I'm at 75% bar, I'm always going to sub. So now it's like, okay, this guy has meter to sub, I'm going to try to bait it. Okay, he didn't take the bait. All right, back to neutral. And then some people will hold their meter forever. Well, then that turns into, okay, then if you're not going to sub, then I'll just keep hitting you. And then there's all sorts of different, layers and mix and different approaches and play styles that take those things into account. And reversals, it's an interesting thing to bring up because there's only so many true reversals in the game in terms of what you would consider a reversal in another game, like a DP, a Shoryuken in Street Fighter, where the move is invulnerable while it's hitting them, right? That's why they're able to just get out of a situation. In Naruto, in SCON, there's only a few moves that are actually truly invulnerable, and that's it's only a handful. It's Guy and Rock Lee's gates have unique properties that are different than, for example, ZTKs. ZTKs can be grabbed and he can be hit with a low, and it will cancel the gate. Like, he won't transform. Rock Lee's and Guys don't behave that way. Then there's reversals like all the other 4Xs in the game. Iruka's, Onko, Who else has one? I'm blanking out right now. But they have 4x moves, but there were a lot of changes in the most recent patch that had like actual changes to balance changes that removed 4x reversals from the game. What they did is they still have invulnerability frames, but they end before their active frames of the attack comes out.
Right,
So you
right.
can use it to avoid things, but you have to time it better. Except Zabuza. He still has a reversal where during the first 2 active frames of his punch, he still is invulnerable, which I don't quite understand why that happened, but it makes it incredibly strong versus a reversal that doesn't have it. It exists. It's just there is more technicality to it that matters as to like it's not free. It's not free anymore.
Right.
And they actually removed straight up some reversal. Ino used to have a reversal, and same with Sakura. They just straight up took it out, which I think is objectively fine. Ino was incredibly gifted for a while.
No more. You cannot just blindly 4x. See, that's the fun part of it. You could as someone looking at Melee, you could go, well, why is Fox's Shine just super duper free? And that may be true to a large extent, but it just doesn't extend infinitely because Fox is a perfect glass cannon. He is literally combo food for the whole cast. Everybody's got like combo strings that they could do on Fox with, which I think is hilarious. Even Bowser, like, it's just like what, and that makes that just kind of makes him a
the
fun
balance
character.
with him is that he is a very high technical,
Right. That as well.
ceiling,
That as well. You the memes where people will do Task Fox playing against another Task Fox, and it doesn't even look like Melee anymore. That's
like
how
wave
that's
shines over, and they're just like clinking and clinking and stuff.
Yep, Ultra Clinks. Yep, absolutely. It's super duper fun. Now, here's a couple of things about Melee that I don't like. For example, port priority. I don't know how much you know about port priority in Melee,
I'm aware.
but it is a thing. So, is there port priority in SCON4?
No, there was in GNT, but they took that out in SCON.
Do they do that based on damage, or what's the tiebreaker since it's not the controller port?
Are you at? So you're asking? Priority doesn't exist in the game.
No.
Like
Okay,
that.
let me put it to you this way. I know what happens when 2 attacks with the same crunch. There's that clank animation. The whole screen kind of reverse colors. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that in Melee, if you and another person try to grab the ledge at the exact same time, which very rarely happens, by the way, it's not the reason why people hate port priority, but the person with the higher priority grabs the ledge first. What people hate about port priority in Melee is when you, the lower port priority person, grab and throw your opponent. By having a lower port, you throw the character is in 1 extra frame of hit stun as they're being thrown, which gives you an extra frame to initialize the rest of your combo, because throws start combos in Melee. So that's why people hate port priority. But the grabbing the ledge at the same time makes more sense to talk about between Melee and SCON4, because if you don't have ports break the tie of grabbing the ledge at the same time, then theoretically you could have damage. Whoever has the higher damage grabs the ledge first, or the person with the more stocks grabs the ledge first, or whatever. What would be the tiebreaker in SCON4 if there's no longer port priority as a mechanic in the game?
I don't know if there is one, but I don't think that the circumstances exist to where it's needed. Port priority was an issue in GNT1 for things with like swordsmen. There's a concept, there's a technique called Phantom Sword where Zabuza or Kasame will jump and do their jump A, where they slice down.
Right.
But if they do it low enough to the ground, the sword doesn't come out, but the hitbox does, so it's phantom and you don't see it. But in vanilla, there was port priority where I think it was like P1 can do it, but P2 can't, or something like that.
Oh, that
Or,
kind of port priority.
there are also port priority with throws, where I don't remember how it worked, but basically you would have less. What it was is that's actually written down somewhere. Play, one player would have more leeway to break a bigger window to break throws, so that was balanced and fixed. So it's not, I think, the same. It's not applicable in the same way that you're describing.
No,
So it's
it's
hard.
not. You're right. It's not.
Yeah, but there was a version that had impact. Um, the thing about GNT is that there is no ledge, there is no ring out. It is
And grabs
incredibly
clank
difficult.
with each other anyway, that kind of thing.
Grabs will break each other, like a Dragon Rush in Dragon Ball Fighters, or a throw break in Street Fighter 4. They'll just break apart.
Yep.
You can't ring out. It's very difficult to draw. You can, but it's incredibly difficult because you need to somehow hit each other at the same time, kill each other at the same time, and not clash. The thing about the game is that when two hitboxes overlap, they will clash unless one of the moves has properties that negate the other, which is what I was talking about earlier: high crush, low crush, invulnerability frames, whatever it may be. Throws also beat. There's the simple approach of the game is rock paper scissors in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Throws beat blocking, and so on and so forth.
Oh,
So,
talk to me about throwing, by the way, because I still don't understand why I can't just run up to somebody, and as soon as I collide with their, why do I want to say ECB? Anyway, I think that's just a melee specific term. But anyway, you're walking hurt boxes, and then you nuzzle up to each other all close like, and I press Y, and I don't grab them. What's going on? I am literally rubbing up on this dude.
Yeah, it's difficult to say without seeing the situation. I know what you're talking about. Every single person, it's happened to them, but there's typically some reason as to why it didn't work. It may be they were getting up. Maybe was it like when they're rising up, or they're just like standing still? You may have pressed it earlier than you expected. I can't give you a good answer on that. That's one area that I still haven't discovered the technical reason, but that is definitely a question that you can ask in the Discord, and whether it's Athcore or Kite Sage or Abic or Paradise or anyone incredibly knowledgeable about some of the bizarre situations. Or if you record it and give an example, then it's a lot easier. Or if you did it in debug and you did it frame advance, you could look at the flags, see their status, and see if they're even in a grabbable frame.
Okay, so there are certain frames of movement where you can't be grabbed, because I think it's just movement. I'm not talking about in the middle of an attack, because I'm getting hit instead of grabbing. I think it's just purely movement. They're either walking backwards or walking towards me as I'm literally sprinting, doing the sprint towards them, and I wait until I see that I'm starting to like make that contact. So I'm not grabbing early. I learned that was the first thing that I troubleshooted, but then I still felt like even when I ran right up to them and had made a little bit of contact and then press Y, I still did my whiff animation.
Yeah, I want to be able to give you a good answer, but that is one thing right now I can't say why with the technical reason. The only thing I could say that's probably is that I don't know. I mean, you could do it too early, and you could also potentially be doing it too late if they're like walking backwards. Thing is that there are moves that are grabbable that you think that aren't. Like the side steps can be grabbed during their startup frames, but if you did it too late and they've already stepped and moved, then you could whiff your grab. If you're running up to them, you could be ever so much not aligned, actually, even though you feel like you are, because it is a 3D game. There are moments. So the characters are moving all the time. Neutral. Melee too, right? Their hurt boxes change while they're idle.
Yes.
So it's very possible that the grab frame, a hitbox of the grab,
Right, the grab hitbox. Yep.
didn't overlap the hurtbox.
So I
There
have
are
to
ways as to
be very much facing. There has to be a
get up in their
1-to-1.
ass, like right up there. Yeah.
Uh,
It's also may just be like a muscle memory type thing, because it's just, I know what you mean. It's happened to me. It happens to everybody. It's really frustrating, but
I just want to run
it's
up and grab a mofo, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like I'm still don't understand why I miss sometimes and why I get it sometimes. But the ever so slightly not facing them makes more sense because I don't have like I have so many bubbles for melee character hitboxes memorized. I can just visualize them right now. I couldn't tell you what they look like with words because I couldn't even explain to you in words how the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 thing works for SCON4, but I can visualize it very clearly in my brain. But meanwhile, the grab in SCON4, I don't know what the size of the hitbox is. I don't know what that
so
looks like at
you
all.
could find out by
Yes.
going into debug practice and turning on hitboxes.
I could, or I could have somebody explain it to me, but that's okay. I will do a bit of both, probably. The size of the hitbox I can find out by going debug mode, and then the reason why I keep missing it, I can ask somebody who has technical know-how, and they'll tell me, when you go back into debug mode, try this and see if you can start to tweak it to make it more consistent, even if it's not like you're gonna miss depending on whatever, but this is what you kind of want to look for if you want a more consistent grab as compared to, yeah, it's like feels like a coin flip to me presently. So I would like for it to feel more like this is likely to happen kind of a thing, because otherwise I'm just going to be pressing 5B, 5B, 5B all day, baby. Oh, and I love Naruto's 4B, even though sadly, like you said, the invulnerability or the blocking frames end before the punch actually comes out and becomes active. That's okay. I understand. But some people's jabs are so fast, so I can't even.
Or his 4B where he reels back and he has
Yes.
guard frames.
Yes.
Yeah, every 4B is like that, to where they're guard frames before they attack.
Yes. But then you can still get hit if the punch hasn't come quite out yet. There's like that little
It's
in
just
between.
a timing thing. It's a timing thing.
Yep.
When your 4B is safe to use, it's not a get out of jail free card.
Right.
And then every 4B is different. They have different amounts of guard frames, different speed of which the attack itself is coming out. Like Eno has the fastest 4B in the game, but it only has like a few frames of guard frames. So if you do it too fast, you're not, their attack isn't hitting you yet. Your guard frames are gone and you're now getting hit in the face.
Yep.
Choji has guard frames for like until the next game. Like it lasts so long that it's a lot easier. Or like Kimimaru back B used to be like unbelievably strong in vanilla. They tuned that down a bit. Still strong, but it's not as free. You know, there's a lot of stuff like that. These are the types of changes that they make. On top of a bunch of other stuff.
Let us talk about your placement at Combo Breaker 2023. You got 7th at the event, but you had some feelings about it. So tell me about your feelings of Combo Breaker 2023.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm super passionate and I love this community and I'm really happy that it exists and it's brought me a lot of joy and fun and frustration, but in a good way. And I've learned a lot and I've just had a lot of fun. I've gotten to meet a lot of people, and it was pretty amazing to hear about the original Combo Breaker 2019 for vanilla, which was before the pandemic. Fast forward to me, pandemic's over. We're gonna have GNT at Combo Breaker 2022. I go, I meet all these guys. I don't do as well as I hope. CO Otaku 2022 comes. I think I got 5th at that. That was fun. This one rolls around. I was like, all right, my goal, and I tried to be, one of the things I struggle with the fighting game community is that it's a fighting game, only one person gets to win, right? That's hard because I become friends with people. I don't want them to lose, but I also don't want to lose. And then there's this whole concept of the whole, like the fighting game community as a whole, it can be incredibly toxic. tons of negative energy. And I'm not about that. Like, it's cheesy as hell, but like, I'm all about that PMA life. All right. Positive mental attitude, promoting positivity, whatever the hell you want to say. I think it matters. And I find myself at odds with myself of like putting myself in the situation, wanting to do well, but also not wanting to get frustrated and angry, and wanting to promote and build this community and show people that this game's awesome and there's so much potential and fun to be had. But in order to do that, for me at least, I want to get on stream and show other things. In this case, I really want to get on there and show some Eno stuff because she's very unique in this game compared to others. She has incredibly different movement options and combo. But you could, many people, myself included, I kind of more consider her as if like a Dragon Ball Fighters character in Naruto, because she doesn't have bread and butter. She's very freeform. You can kind of do whatever you want once you understand her toolkit. Once you're in a situation, you're like, oh, I know this move will hit in this situation, so now I can do that after that, and this and so on. And so it's more like Melee, actually, I guess, right? You don't have to be restricted to BBBB, BBX or something. So Combo Breaker 2023 rolls around, and I'm feeling like excited. It's going to be difficult, but I want to get there, and it's going to, same goal in mind. And I get to where I'm going. In the bracket, I lose to Clem, who's been a very difficult match for me for a while. And he's one of the friends I made. He's a really good guy. So he puts me into losers bracket. Then I beat a couple people, 1 or 2 games in losers. I don't remember at this point. And then I run into Malix, who I've played a lot, and he's quite solid, but I felt like I could handle it. But he wins the first match. That kind of puts me in a rough spot. I win the next one. Goes to the last kunai on the last match. So 3 out of 5 kunai, right? So it's 2-2. Man, like, I'm over it, but now talking about it, it's going to get me a little upset. Like, because I brought capture cards for this event so we could capture all the media that wasn't on stream. And so I got the footage and I sent it to Cyber already, but I rewatched that match and he beat me. I get it, but it's one of those situations where I legitimately like, I don't feel like I got outplayed in this moment. Maybe throughout the match, sure enough, but this last interaction, I did a thing that I knew was incredibly unsafe that he could punish, and he's able to do it. But for some reason, I went for that, which is her 6B is like a rising elbow, and it has a follow-up to where she teleports behind or in front to kick you, but it's very easy to step if you know what to expect, and he does, and we've played a lot. He sidesteps, supers, I die, it's over, I'm eliminated. The part that breaks my heart is that he's at chip damage health 1, and I forgot that was the situation. When I rewatched it, I was like, oh my god. I could have just done stuff that was safe on block and probably chipped him out and then moved on. But whatever. I maybe I do it to myself. I feel like I choke a lot, or I lost focus, or whatever it may be. Bottom line, that wouldn't have even put me in top 4 anyway. I would have then gone on to play Skeet. And Skeet's one of these guys that I met really early on, and we constantly played each other in tournaments and bi-weeklies online and in person too, at Combo Breaker last year and at CEO Otaku last year. So he's one of the guys I consider to be very close to. So I was actually wanting to get to him this time around to be like, all right, this is it, like showdown, blah, blah, blah. But it's okay because before Combo Breaker happened, Cyber reached out to me and said, hey, if you don't make top 4, we want to ask you to, do you want to do commentary? And I was like, yeah, man, that's amazing. Because I love commentating this game. It's so much fun for me. I'm really big on explaining the nitty gritty, to being more like the, I guess, color commentary or analyst, whatever it may be, versus play-by-play. And so I couldn't have both. But when it happened to me, I'm embarrassed, but I admit it. I fucking blew up. I lost my cool because I've just been I'm just so like everyone's passionate about it, and it's okay. I just it was intense as hell. But as I said, I lost. I got to do commentary, and that was so much fucking fun. Lee did commentary with me, and he and I've known him for a while as well. He and I already have really good rapport where we don't really have to think about the flow, accidentally interrupting each other. We've commentated together a lot already, and to be behind the stage with the backdrop and the lights and the TV, like, it was so much fun. So it's bittersweet because I want to get to top 4. I want to get on stream and showcase the game to more people, to a wider audience, to hopefully attract more people. But I also really fucking loved commentating. So like, you know, I don't know. But you know, there's always going to be another chance to do it. It's a lesson to learn from. In the moment, it's difficult, and you're like so mad, and it's like I can't handle it. I'll know it'll pass, but right now I got to fucking deal with it. But now I'm here, days later. I'm all good. I'm alive. I'm happy. I survived. It's no stress. So, in the heat of the moment, it was definitely heated.
Here's the reason why you have a hard time with it, and I assume that everybody else in the SCON4 community has a hard time with what, 2 big tournaments a year? The CO Taku and Combo Breaker are the 2 biggest ones, right?
So, not only are they arguably the 2 biggest ones, they're the only ones.
That's what I'm saying.
Now,
you got to hold this for a minute. You can't just like, Melee's got tournaments every other weekend, and even though we're not supported by Nintendo, we're just really crazy about putting on tournaments on a very regular basis, which just floors me.
And this is also 2023 now. Melee had similar, you know, difficulty too. Like it's been grassroots since, you know, the dawn of time, since the seeds were planted, dude. Like, yeah, you've never had Nintendo's support. You've had cease and desist attempts at Evo to not stream the event that then thankfully got like taken away when they like did a crazy fundraiser for cancer or heart something,
breast cancer research. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, you are. I actually never thought of it the way that you're positioning it, but it's very true, and even more so because I'm in fucking Idaho. There's no one else here. I like living here. Don't get me wrong, but god damn it, that like, where are you? There are nerds somewhere around here. I need to go to the damn locals. They're all at the office.
They're at the office. Just bring a SCON4 setup.
Yeah, that's why I modded a Wii. That's somewhere around here. I want to do that. But then I gotta. I mean, it's gonna take time. But there is a Smash community here.
Plant the seeds. Plant the seeds. That's what I'm saying. I'm doing that in 717. I'm just like, anybody want to play SCON4 with me? And they go, what's that? And I'm like, Naruto. They go, oh, I'll try it.
I was literally in the supermarket listening to that part of your podcast where you're like, you were at a tournament and then your Melee was over and it's like, anybody want to play SCON? They're like, what? Naruto? What's that? And I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. I can and should. If I want to be the change you want to see in the world, right? Don't complain and not do anything about it. So if I'm complaining that no one in Idaho is playing this game, but I'm not going to the locals to try to be like, hey guys, did you all ever play this? Well, guess what? This is the Project M of that game, right?
Yes.
You use their words. So
you use JV and commentary for top 4.
Oh yeah, you heard that. Okay, you watched that?
That was so funny.
I was like, someone's gonna get this.
Like, I got it.
That's my history of that. That's what part of that. That's why I tell that story, right? Yeah, man, JV stock. Yeah. So I do need to go to the locals and try to spread it and maybe, you know, improve it. But you're not wrong. There are 2. I'm blessed that we can go to majors, like actual majors, and have this event, have a community side event even at these things. In Florida, there is a pretty active local scene where they have monthlies with pretty good showing. The issue is that our community isn't just spread out throughout the United States; it's fucking throughout the whole goddamn world.
Ricky Ants.
Ricky is from the Dominican Republic. Victor is this guy. He goes Doyo Ninja. He's fucking amazing. I love this guy. He's also in Dominican Republic, but he can't easily come here. He doesn't have a visa or student visa. We got this guy Brutal Moon in Brazil. I fucking love him because he's like my Kiba master. Like I felt obligated to learn Kiba because of my dogs, and he's like my guru for that. We got there's a guy in Japan called Ahare. He's this badass Kakashi player. Heart Nana, his real name's Rob. He was like an OG like Soul Calibur like fighting game player. He also played GNT4. He moved to Japan. I think he's still there. We got Hamad Aradi in Egypt. We got some people in Europe. Nywin, another Eno player. I don't know if he's still playing, but there's people all over, right? And we don't have rollback. So EU has a scene. Asia, Oceania has a couple people here and there. North NA can more or less play, you know, depending on your connection. Wi-Fi is definitely an issue, but not even just even if it's hardline, the literal path that it takes can impact Dolphin net play. Ricky and I can sometimes get a good connection when it's like fucking 3 a.m. for him and no one else is online. But I
Mm.
can play a Hare in Japan, no problem. How's that work? I'm in Idaho. That's a whole ocean.
Yeah, Pacific's even bigger than the Atlantic, you know?
Yes, it is. I do know. So you're not wrong. It is that like big. It's like, okay, I waited another 6 months for this. I'm ready. Let's do it. I want to showcase and like be there and like promote.
But you're supposed to do everything else at once too. Like, where's the promote this game and community event so I don't have to think about competing? Oh wait, I'm supposed to do that and commentate and play and have the competitor mindset. You don't want to be toxic, but you have to actually, you know, you gotta find that dog in you.
I like what you said. How did you say it? Say nice, speak nice, play mean.
Yeah, talk nice, play mean.
Yeah, that. Okay, I get that. I never heard it that way, but I like it. And it's also whenever I'll say it this way, like I sometimes do feel a little fraudulent when I play a lot of bi-week. Like I've been playing when I rediscovered this community, I was like, fuck, I'm going to every fucking thing because I want to be part of this and I want to be committed and help and grow and like every bi-weekly, everything. I've played as much as I could. And I got better and I played more and started to do well and this and that and whatever. And then I took a break for a while because I was burnt out and I was hella busy with work. And then I come back and there's all these new kids on the block, Cyber and Lee and Ninchi and Meow Mix and all these guys like, I was like, awesome, new blood, let's go. And I'm like, fuck, am I just bad? What is happening? And then, you know, I get so close many times and it's like, it kind of, I don't know, it's my own shit. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with this.
There are Melee players who took 10 plus years to put in decent results. It's just, it is going to be on your own timing. I think that's what you can walk away from this being encouraged by. You're not the only one, and it will come to you in due time because you're going to keep putting the effort into it. You won't be able to do what a 15-year-old can do in terms of time commitment and think only about the game. It's so not fair what teenagers are able to do, but you can still make the time meaningful. Your mind, which is your biggest weapon, is always going to be just as important as quote unquote reaction time or your fingers or whatever. This game's not nearly as demanding hand wise as a game like Melee. So there are lots of things for you to feel encouraged by. I just want to make sure that you know, from my perspective, you're doing great. Finishing top 8 and having a heartbreaker thing. This is part of the journey, and you'll get to hopefully a much bigger, more fancy sounding podcast name people who say, wow, what did it take to get there? And you can just show off your flowers and tell them, I'm just super goated with the sauce.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the praise and the kind words. And I agree. In the end of the day, when I do reflect on it, it's like not, you know, it's getting there and it's fun. And it's, I like I guess it just sucks when it's over. It's like, no, let's keep going. Let's, you know, and that's how it works, right? And it's been a while since I started going to these things, and I was never getting to those places in like Marvel 3 or Street Fighter 4, but I also didn't expect to as well. It's like this, so much time I put in because I care so much about it. But in reality, there's other ways to continue to participate. And plus, it's not even over. Like, while there may not be a scene here, maybe if I go and get people involved, sure, and maybe locals here and there, wherever. See Otaku has already been announced, and SCON is actually a main game there, which is kind of mind-blowing and so fucking cool. Like, we're all so stoked about it. The whole Discord is blowing up and going nuts, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And so, you know, just come back with a vengeance, and just, you know, I do my best to, I guess what I was getting at with the like feeling fraudulent thing is like, I try not to be a toxic gamer. I was like, oh, I'll, you know, if I do well in bi-weeklies and people are like, oh, how you feeling? I was like, well, you know, it was fun, and, you know, GG's everybody. And Lee is like, nah, dude, they suck. You can't them. You know, I'm not, it's not in me to like, and then I'll playfully like shit talk and stuff. But then I do like to say, you know, play speaks for itself. And then you get to that moment and you choke and you're like, God fucking damn it, again? But no. So now more motivation, back to the training room, back to the freaking gravity well, Vegeta, whatever. You know, Vegeta eventually beats Goku finally, right? In the Gohan movie.
Mm.
Anyway, I'm stoked for CEO Taco. It's freaking amazing, like what everyone's been doing and achieving here. So
In Orlando, that's in the neighborhood of all the active players. Whoop
that's
whoop.
right. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of people, hopefully, that make it to that they couldn't make it to CB.
Are you gonna go early to get in some games? You know, I think that might do you some wonders just to get there a day or two early, room with somebody, and just grind and grind. And then you'll say to yourself, wow, I played too much. Now I'm not in the right headspace. Why did I listen to Cypher in
I
early
like it.
June of
You went full
2023?
circle with the whole thing. You didn't even let me respond. So I already booked the hotel. Bukak and I are going to be rooming together. We may get some other people if we need to. But I typically fly into these things. Like for CB, I did the same thing, like the Thursday before. Because it's a pain in the ass to fly from Idaho because it's just far. And
Yeah.
I
Idaho's
lose
not.
time.
I couldn't even name you one single town in Idaho. I'm being dead serious when I say that.
No, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the location geographically and the time it takes to fly, in this case to Orlando,
Yes.
and losing 2 hours. It's hard to get
Yes.
there early. So I've been thinking about flying like a red eye on a Wednesday night to get there Thursday morning. Regardless, I will get there Thursday and leave Monday to be there for the whole thing. But in terms of like grinding in games, I actually don't think that's what I need. After everything was going down, um, Paradise came by and like talked to me a bit, and it gave his point of view is not something that I've thought about too much. Is intentionally taking a break, a step back, not because I'm burnt out, but because I just sometimes just playing more games and grinding doesn't necessarily help. It can, for sure, but it might be better to take a break and let it marinate and think about and analyze or observe from an outside perspective. I don't always have to participate in order to participate, if that makes sense.
Yes, I like
So,
that. But the
no.
Thursday before a big tournament, I don't know if you want to step away that specific
I'm
day.
not saying for CEO Taco. I'm
It's
saying
just a
like
thought.
maybe the
It's
next
just a
couple.
thought. I
Yeah.
don't want to tell
No,
you what to do.
when I'm there, I definitely want to play.
Hmm.
But I'm talking about like for the next like just, like I
I
don't
was not telling you to grind right now because you need to, you need to do what you
I
need
mean
to
I
do.
am down to play still like whenever, but I don't have that like need to we're playing you whoever 30 sets 30 games right now every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because I really do like long sets, but after how I lost and the way it happened, what happened wasn't because of tech skill or matchup knowledge, or it was breaking down and losing cool and lose my mental breaking a little bit, and whatever it may be. I don't think there's more to be gained than just needing to practice links, so
Hmm. There's a certain what I really like about practicing so far for me is feeling like when I'm not in a great headspace that there's a certain amount of muscle memory, and it's almost like, and it's really hard to do for melee, but you almost get into a point where you can have your floor be that automatic response, and you can throw something out that's actually good as compared to what a lot of, I mean, this is the casual player to a T. They're not in a good headspace. They're just trying to understand the controls. They're totally unprepared or whatever, and they'll do the wrong thing. But when you get to a point where you play a game a lot, I like this idea that I'm in that same spot that I was when I first started out the game. Why is it taking me 45 minutes to do one Hama combo from his video or their video? I'm sorry, I don't know Hama's pronouns, but Hama's combo
yeah,
video thing for
for
Naruto
Naruto,
as a
yeah.
showcase. Why is it taking me 45 minutes to do? But now, I can do that pretty much without blinking. Like, in other words, it's just nice to be able to have something instead of falling back on an option that is not super great, falling back on an option that in that scenario, because you just can kind of see it, boom, there it is, and throw it out. I would love to talk to a top player like Armada for Melee someday, because Armada won games so regularly that we always say that he's like the most consistent player of all time, and certainly able to take out any player that is below kind of like the god status, since he was one of the 5 gods of Melee, and he didn't lose to anybody outside of the top 5 for years, literal years, and playing against dozens of tournaments and hundreds of players. He didn't lose to anybody outside of those top 5 for years. So how do you get to that point? How do you get to the point where you have such a high floor that it just cancels out anybody that isn't actually right beneath your level or at your level? That's such a crazy concept to me. But I kind of get that sense when I play for myself, that once I get something down, then it just kind of flow states out of me, and I really like it when it happens.
I feel like I get what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. That is how I feel when it comes to Eno. I no longer think about strings or timing or button, like what I need to do next. It's just an extension of myself at this point. I know what I can and can't do. The problem I believe that I have is when I get tense and overthink it and maybe forget that I don't need to, like, I do myself a disservice by like overthinking it and getting all nervous and my mental breaking down or choking it, basically, because I don't feel like I don't need, without, I don't mean to come off as like arrogant or egotistical here, but when it comes to playing this character, Eno is effectively the second character that I picked up in Super shortly after playing at this like invitational draft tournament in August of 2020. I started with Sarutobi Hokage, who I still really like. He's a lot of fun. But shortly after that, one of the developers at the time, Sifo, suggested I try out Eno because she had a similar ring system that they called. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. Sarutobi Hiruzen is one of the characters that has what they call a ring system, which is taken from Bloody Roar Extreme, but it's an incredibly like dumbed down version, where Abik showed me this crazy like flowchart that you can do in Bloody Roar Extreme. This is not like that. This is something string, and then you have 4 different options: down A, back A, up A, whatever. And Hokage does like rocks, fire, water, counter, whatever it is. Eno has a similar system where different points in her strings she can do different things. So I gave her a shot, and she was so much fun to play. So what I'm getting at is I've been playing this character since effectively August of 2020. I've seen every single iteration. I've gone through all of the changes. I know who she is and what she is and what she can do. But when I get in these situations where I get potentially outplayed or my back is against the wall, somehow that access gets shut off. And then I'm just like, I gotta make it happen. So that's, for me, I think that's what happens. But I do completely understand what you're saying. Getting into the flow.
The last thing that I'll say is that there are Melee players who spend a long time bumping their head on the ceiling and not able to go past it because they keep getting second or top 8 and not actually winning the event. I think for you, you know who Axe is. He plays as Pikachu.
The guy with the hat?
Yes.
And he finally won a summit, right?
Yes.
That was the thing, yeah.
Yep. He's my favorite example of someone who spent a long time getting top 8, top 4, or even placing second at certain tournaments, but never actually being able to win a tournament. And he's played Melee since the late 2000s. I don't know what year he got started exactly, if it was 06 or 07, but you can even see him in the documentary, in the Mango episode. It's so funny. You can see.
I've watched whether it was that or some.
No, you watched Turn Down for Walt's documentary about Axe. You watched Turn Down for Walt. I love Turn Down for Walt.
What I was gonna say is I saw something about the Pikachu player. Mm-hmm. I definitely saw it. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I love Turn Down for Walt. Sorry, but he's
You're good, dude.
You got a person who would get into certain situations, and despite knowing his character inside and out, knowing the other character that he's playing against, and most likely knowing the other player that he goes up against inside and out, still being edged out, being the one who ultimately loses. And you were talking about this earlier. It's a fun concept to wrestle with, the idea of we're all in a community and we love the aspect of good vibes and playing games. But then in a competition sense, you also kind of want to win and you hate losing. So Axe being a competitive person. I don't know how he went so long, but I think there was a certain point, and I could kind of see this in that summit tournament that he won. The person who came up to grand finals coming out of losers bracket, reset the bracket. It was 3-1. And in that moment when we were watching it live, when I was watching it live, I was thinking, I don't think Axe is going to actually win this. I think that reset was enough to kind of put a chip into the mental fortitude that Axe might start breaking down here, because you've never won a tournament before. You're sitting on grand finals winner's side, and then you lose the first set and the bracket resets, and you go, oh, you're kind of like, I think the temptation is to reel there. And I never asked Axe himself what went through his mind during that bracket reset, but then he didn't lose. He won that second set. And I think it was just that idea of, I finally have gotten to the point, not because I've lost over and over and over and over again necessarily, but because I've learned how to keep everything together when theoretically I should be falling apart. I don't know if that's easy for everybody to pick up, but I know that there are examples of people like Axe who it seemingly takes a while to put it all together, but then ultimately it does happen.
Yeah, that's a good example. It's a harder lesson to learn and to like work towards, but I think part of the benefit of being an old man still in my prime is that I've gone through other things that put a lot of things in perspective for me, that in the end that I believe that I do have the potential to get past that barrier of like, okay, lost that match, just one more, all right, cool, like, yeah, not break down. So I get what you're saying, and it's some similar feedback that I've gotten from others. So yeah,
bring on CEO Taku coming up in September or something. Woo!
September 21st to 22nd to the 24th.
Awesome.
At Wyndham Orlando Resort.
Yes, I will not be there, but I'll be cheering you on and watching. I watched the top 4 live for Combo Breaker. I just wasn't able to participate in chat a lot because at that very moment I was very angrily trying to win games versus somebody at the House Fest in HDR, which is an ultimate mod. Anyway.
Okay, I thought
anyway.
Like Street Fighter 2 HDR
remix. Nope. Somebody named Hedraw came up with the name HDR, Hedraw Remix. I get it. If you're the person who kind of broke into Ultimate's code and started making it play like Melee, then you deserve to name it whatever you like. So anyway, I was paying attention kind of, but I wasn't like chatting or anything because I was also playing games at the same time. But it's fun to follow live. Ricky Ant had a great top 4 performance at the very least. It was fun to see character variety. I love Melee top 8s that have different characters. This seemed to have a nice variety of characters, at least for top 4, and I'm seeing some variety down there in the 5th through 7th. Shouts out Eno, let's go. So looking forward to seeing what kind of storylines coming out of CEO Taku, because you have a great opportunity to have, like you said, you're kind of getting the idea that more people will be there, more top player talent. Maybe Tacos will go to that instead of doing whatever he's doing this weekend. He's something $100,000 prize pool, something sell out.
He didn't go to CB because he qualified for some Magic the Gathering tournament. That's what he told us.
Yeah, that's just me teasing and being like, it's just selling out, you know. What about the grassroots love? But I get it. If there was $100,000 up for grabs, I'd kind of go for that. I would.
Everybody has their priorities, and it's okay to, you know.
Well, let's get tacos to CEO Taku maybe.
I mean, he went last year. That's where I met him. You know?
Nice.
Here's the thing. I love the dude. He's a nice guy, but do not room with this man, because he is the loudest sleeper snorer I've ever heard in my entire life. I have earbuds, like Bluetooth in. It's unbelievable. I mean, I feel bad, but it's like, bro, you got to do. I don't know what you can do. What can you do about it? It's happening unconsciously.
Well, I mean, you know, you can blame him for snoring, I guess. I mean, here we are, right?
I guess I'm not being all that PMA after all.
Fuck
everybody.
You need to be better. No,
No.
it's yeah, it isn't PMA. We're going about it in a backdoor way, but ultimately, what if he like cures it somehow? I don't know. I've never My lovely wife Jen has never complained about my snoring. She says I snore, but I don't snore loudly enough, I guess. She has admitted to pushing me before. So okay, Jen, sure, you can push me if that helps, but thankfully it has not been a big enough issue that I've been kicked out of the room. Thankfully. Let's see.
Yeah.
It's almost 2 a.m. for me. It's getting close to midnight for you. Let's get in the direction of wrapping up here. I've appreciated the time.
Likewise.
You've been awesome. I want to make sure that you have a chance to give the shout outs that you want to give, and
Oh,
then
cool.
any closing thoughts that you want to add, and places and things you want people to check out. I can put it at the very least. We're putting the Super Clash of Ninja 4 Discord server invite link into the description of this here podcast, so you can check that out. But other than that, shout outs, thoughts, and then let's get closed up.
Yeah. So, shout outs. I've been kind of throwing out some names here and there, but generally speaking, like shout outs to all the devs, past, present, and future. Like I couldn't think of the term while I was commentating, but I said it here earlier. I finally remembered it. Is labor of love. Like these people put in time, sweat, tears, effort. They get a tons of praise. They get a tons of like shit thrown at them in terms like, oh, y'all don't know what you're doing, this and that. At the end of the day, we wouldn't have this without all their hard work. So all of the devs, thank you for your never-ending work on this stuff. It's amazing. I can't do this stuff, and no one else, so there's that first. And then in terms of like shout outs, man, there's like all these people that I literally have bullets of, like, I don't know, like how many rows is this?
Never ending soda.
Six, I don't know, 63-ish people. But I mean, I talked about like the people from Austin back in the day, like David Chang and Jesus Freak. They're not even going to hear this because they're long gone. Actually, I sent Changsta the VOD of the stream, and he was blown away. Like, wow, that's still happening. But Bukak, Pure Funked, Stripper Vash, Lemo, and Skeet, some of one of the first 2 guys that I met. Clemente, who's my other like member of the tribe, another HebrewHammer of the server. Ricky, he's like, I love the kid. He's awesome. I'm glad he was able to make it. Ice Kid unfortunately couldn't come to CB, but I hope to see him at Combo Breaker because he's an OG and he plays Kank, and it's a lot of fun. Some of the overseas gentlemen and gentlewomen, Athkor, Hare, Bims, Victor, freaking Hamadarati, Naiwin, people I might be forgetting in other countries. Like, they're all over the place. It's amazing. Natachi, he's like one of the best dudes in the entire world. Mac J, also from Canada. I hope he can come. Oh, there's so many people. Some older people that I haven't seen in a while. Vanguard, he's the one that showed me how to make alts. So he taught me how to make custom costumes. That was fun. Meow Mix and Ninchi from Florida. Lee and Cyber, of course, for like keeping the flame alive, making all this shit happen. And anyone else, if I didn't say your name, it's because there's just too many, and I love and hate everybody.
You know
at the
who
same
you
time.
are.
Yeah, no, you all rock, and thank you. And Kateo, I don't know if I mentioned her earlier. I love chatting with her. She gets really into like the nitty gritty stuff, and we have long chats, and it's good times. But just everybody. In terms of closing thoughts, I mean, I don't know. I can go on and on about this stuff. It's a lot of fun. If anybody wants to talk about more specific things, I may be wrong about some stuff, but I like learning and I like correcting myself, and I like sharing what I've discovered, whether it's documentation about stage size, distribution, and shape, and all this stuff, or chip damage numbers, and whatever it may be. Like in this case, why a throw may or may not work. I like learning how this stuff happens. So, or if anybody new in Idaho hears this and wants to play, hit me up.
Ooh, is
yeah,
this going on the Idaho subreddit?
Oh my god, there'd be like no one looking at it though, because it doesn't. Yeah. So yeah, you already got the link to the invite link to Discord. The only other things I could even suggest is the wiki, but I think there might be some changes upcoming. other than that, see Otaku 2023, Orlando, September 22nd to 24th. Naruto's a main game. That's awesome. What more can be said? That's just so cool. I don't know. It's like the first time Melee would be at MLG or something. That's like a real event, not just as like a side pot that like is, run by the community. So.
Somebody's asking here if Idaho has private firearms sales. So I don't think actually this is a good place to post podcasts about video games. Actually,
Oh, in a subreddit? No, I don't think you should post it there.
Don't
you can
think
post it. I can find the Facebook group for the Idaho Smash scene and send it to you.
Whoops, I knocked my mic. No, that's not. I was mostly kidding, but then I thought it'd be really funny to see what the top posts are, and well, somebody
Probably
wants to
not.
know if all-wheel drive is needed in snow. There's wait, another post about purchasing firearms. Oh boy, so
Idaho, baby.
that's Idaho season.
Other last closing thought is: do you want to play it all, or is it too late now?
No, I'm ready.
Bet.
I have a setup here for playing on my recording. I mean, I just need to find my controller, which might still be in my backy-packy.
Cool.
Which is right here. So let's see if this internet thing works out, because remember, the internet gave out on us once before, 25 minutes into the recording. I don't know if you remember that. It's been so long.
I do remember it. Plus, I don't think we've ever tried our connection. You're not that far, PA, but who knows?
Me and Mikey had some interesting... Wait, no, he admitted to using Wi-Fi, so this should be much better.
Oh, yeah. You can't do Wi-Fi.
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
I can send you a code, but what version of Dolphin are you using?
Whatever the one that the community uses. I asked this, and Clemente...
Yeah.
Clemente told me...
17995.
Hold on, let me go to the Dolphin builds. It's 17995, right?
Yep, correct. Yep.
All right, I have to plug in my controller before I pull up Dolphin, otherwise I might not recognize it right away. Just a little fun thing of...
Oh, I'm aware. Yeah, I'm very much aware of the crazy... plugged it in too late.
Okay, plug in now, pull up Dolphin. Let's go ahead and copy that old code. Tools. Starting to play. Connect. Host code. And connect.
Hey-oh, there we go.
There we go.
Dope.
Now
That's actually not bad. It might look high, but it's actually not. All right.
We shall see. It's gonna be exciting. Let me...
So, do you know about gecko codes?
I only know that they exist.
So, you may notice immediately that there's no music.
There is no music. You were saying that in your commentary that you don't do music, and I gasped audibly.
Yeah, I don't like music. I don't know. I don't like it's not bad. I just prefer it without, because I'm oftentimes like maybe listening to my own or whatever. But they made a gecko code where it turns it off by default. But if I go back and turn it on and then I hit pause, then it gets all funky.
It's a whole thing. I get it.
Do you want me to play anyone specific?
You can play whoever you want. If you play Eno, that'll be my first time playing against Eno, like, I think, period. So let's just do Eno. I need to learn this character.
All right.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah. There's also a gecko code that when you press start in this game and you do quit, it goes back to the main menu. But there's a gecko code that does quit to character select screen. So it's kind of nice.
Okay, I can feel a slight delay, but okay. All right, I'm ready. Nope. I'm getting ridden. Oh no. And I got grabbed. That makes sense. Oh, yes. Oh, see, I tried doing it there and it didn't work for me.
Yeah, back B there wouldn't work. Yep.
いざ尋常に2本目始め
Nope, that was too far. I know I was too far for that, okay?
Yeah, that one was a little funky.
Oh, I was almost ready. I just didn't know that was a thing that your character did. That's okay, though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One thing I didn't talk about, but I mentioned in the stream is this game has a lot of jank. Like that, we just went through each other because your 6B lunges forward and I did this and you hopped over me. And then there's crazy stuff with the camera because it's a 3D game.
Oh, okay. Yep. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I want in my life.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have pressed B during that spot.
Yeah.
Let's make some quote-unquote adjustments and go from there.
This match is... Oh, this is like my favorite map, by the way. I love this map.
Fun fact. Super small. No big deal.
Yeah, it's actually good for Naruto too, but it's, I like it. It's a square, and it's 7x7. It's small and it's a simple shape.
Right. That's not what I wanted. Ugh. Oh, that was so acrobatic. Nope, too late. There we go. I was expecting something like that to happen. I knew it was too good to be true. You can't just spam it. Oh no.
No, you can't. Yeah, if you knock Ino into the air on block, her jump B can punish this. So it's tricky. Oh jeez.
I just wanted to see if you were paying attention. Oh, oops. No, I went forward when I shouldn't have gone forward. Ah.
Well, that was a good example of 2B, that 2B went under your jab, right? Like you were talking about earlier.
Nope, too soon. Oh, I guess I should prove that I can hit you off of a throw before you use your substitute on it.
Well, I don't know.
Ha. Oh, dang.
Yeah.
I thought I didn't sidestep either right or in time because I can sidestep that, right?
So that's the thing, that she has two different supers. That's the one that has a wider hitbox. It's much more difficult to sidestep. Now it's
So I'm
outside of your
supposed to
grab range.
so I'm supposed to jump?
You're supposed to, in that case, get up attack. Wait up kick.
No, but I
But-
had enough time to react to it. You didn't I think I had a chance to do something, didn't I? I don't remember it being like frame type wake up.
Wake up supers in this game are typically inescapable. If the person doing the super times it correctly.
Right,
Wake
right,
up
right.
kick does address part of that issue, but it requires a neutral get up, which you did do, I think. I don't think you rolled. But I also was spaced out a decent amount. I wasn't expecting you to react. It was a little bit of
Oh, got grabbed again. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I want in my life.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh my god, the same stage again. That's surprising.
That's crazy.
See how I beat your transformation?
I know, it happened to me before.
Yeah. Oh, missed you.
No, I was too far away. Yep, they had chip damage there.
I just
No,
tried my
move.
back B and then lost because it has no guard frames. Really well.
Not really concerned about any of that noise. I'm realizing that most of your hits, I mean, putting it... What? No, I did the thing. Dang it.
Huh.
The game says I didn't, but I thought I did. That's okay. That's neither here nor there. Ah. Nope. It's far too good of a player to sneak by mashing A.
Most of my hits are what? What were you saying?
Sorry, you're too good of a player to mash A on.
Oh no, I heard that part. Earlier you were saying I'm not worried about it because your hits or something. Oh, that's not what I want. I was curious what you were saying. Magnus, you alright?
I can't remember the context of it anymore. It's too late.
It's all good. It might have been, maybe you're thinking that like they're not very hard hitting. I'm not sure. Oh, there you go. Nice.
Yeah. No need to worry. We're all good. Nope. Wait. Why didn't you counter hit me there? Dang it. Too late. Oops. Ooh.
What happened? What'd you say?
Air grab.
Yeah.
No, I was just wondering why you didn't counterattack me on a certain interaction.
Wow.
Ouch. No!
Yeah.
That's not what I wanted.
Oh my gosh, jump.
Tried reacting to you landing. Epic failure on my part.
You know how to tech?
No, I need to hit A or B when I hit the ground, right?
Correct. Yeah, you can. And then when you do that, you can also hold a direction to change the how you roll.
No, I was supposed to chain that, and I would have missed anyway, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just annoyed that I didn't chain it properly. Ouch.
Still alive.
Ouch.
山中いいの
Do you mind if I also play him? I really
Yeesh, I don't like dittos.
No? Oh.
What is it with people and dittos?
It's not about the ditto. I really like playing ZTK. It's one of my favorite characters.
I suppose I could play a different character after this match.
Yeah.
I do have the guy with the cloth sword a little bit, though not really.
1本目
Cloth.
Mostly committed to Naruto. No, that wasn't good. Wait, hold on. I played against a computer of this before. This guy has lots of tricky tricks.
Yes, he does.
No, I tried grabbing. Nope, too close.
That's good. Oh, that's a mid. Oh, you jumped over.
Oh, yeah.
いざ尋常に2本目始め
I text, but that's neither here nor there. That dog is holding still. Why is the dog holding still?
It's called dog glitch. When the dog gets charged, he can bite you. And you get like basically stuck in a bite animation.
Oh, see, I tried running into you so I could grab you, but I waited too long. Because I just wanted to connect. No, that's not what I wanted. Dog! No! Dog!
This is basically a Konkoro, but instead of a puppet, I have a dog.
Yes.
And you can't hit the dog.
Right. Well, that's actually fine by me, because hitting the puppet is very annoying. Ouch. Nope. No, and I'm... Ah, dog! Oh, excellent. Oof. Ouch. Oh, little guy.
Yeah.
This guy. I have a this guy.
Oh, Kasame.
That's not the color I want, though. What was the color again? Yes. Purple.
Yeah. Purple's. I like that one too.
The only thing I really know how to do is jump in the air, press A, land with sword, and then mash A a bunch of times, drain your chakra. It's super fun.
いざ尋常に
You are very blue.
1本目
Hello.
始め 遅い
Nope. Turn around.
女王様だ
Oh yeah, I forgot about down A.
甘く見ていたようですいざ尋常に2本目始め何
That's not what I wanted.
甘く見ていたよ完勝いざ尋常に3本目始め調査もない行きますよ
Aww.
That was close. Yeah.
勝負あり Uzumaki Naruto.
Last ditch effort. Only other character I've played. Where'd she go? There she is.
Oh, Tamari's good.
Lino, was it? From Combo Breaker 2022?
Lemmo.
Lenmo. Very inspiring.
Yeah, Lemmo. Yeah, L-E-M-O. Yeah. He's
Lemmo.
very, very good.
Lemmo.
He's very, very strong. He usually plays gank, but he knows how to play all many characters very well. Tamari's very strong. I like how you described her fan guitar case. And how you described like the 2A to be like a shockwave to punish subs.
Well, if you position it right, that's what it does. I mean, I just kind of saw
No,
that.
it's exactly what it does. It's just funny that you described it that way. What's actually really special about that move is that it's unblockable from behind. You have to back B it in order to block it. And her jab is a low, which is very unique. Yeah, that right there, that's unblockable. Oh. I'm dead.
No.
I'm not dead. I was wrong.
I just felt like I should try to hit first.
If you do her jump B a little bit lower to the ground, you... Like,
Right, it's a movement option.
yeah, it's like an automatic L cancel. Almost.
No, I collided before I made contact.
Fuck.
Maybe?
Yeah. Nice.
We are on the board. Dang it, Tamari. That was a little bit projected.
Oh, god damn it. Whatever.
No, I waited. Dang it. I can only blame myself. Haha, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. A little silly. That's fun. Oh!
Nice.
Yeah. Wasn't quite sure if that would work, but it was definitely worth the try.
Naruto.
俺は楽勝ね。
この葉の里はわしが守る。
Mmm.
Big stage.
Very big.
来るがよい。
Yeah. I hate this stage. There's two versions of it for some reason.
始め。もうどうぞ。
Oh. There we go. Oh, right, I'm not Naruto, though. Don't really know our combo strings, so that's not gonna work.
ここだよ。切り替えてやるよ。
beams.
Laser beams.
いざ尋常に
He's the Hokage.
2本目始め
That's not what I should have done there.
やるじゃないか
Wow. Wow.
甘いタッチの術
Yep. I was gonna break my block.
いざ尋常に3本目始め
やるじゃないかここだよ
ドリュー
やるここだよほらほらほら
Huh?
もうどうぞ もうどうぞ
Nope.
Fucking hell.
ここまでほら
もうどうぞ
そら
Hmm.
ほらほら
ドリュー
ここまでだほら
I can only blame myself. Oh, wait, we're on the board.
それで本気か
I thought I was gonna get hit while I was on the ground.
4本目
Yeah, me too.
始めドリュー
Ouch.
ほら
Yeah, that was
もう
pretty
どう
painful.
ぞ勝負あり
Ouch.
3代目
ここね
他もやれるかの
Yeah, I don't really have any other characters.
It's all good. I just wanted to see if you wanted to play a few. We don't have to keep going. It's like you said, it's crazy late.
One more.
One more? Alright.
で
That
きたっ
sounds
て
good.
ばよ
I like how you played that.
俺には勝てない
This stage.
Who do you play in Melee? Who do you like to play?
I play on box and I play as I play as Fox, but if I'm on a GCC, I'll play as Marth, Falcon, Falco, Sheik.
1本目
So I'm not
始め
super amazing at the game as a result. Oh, this guy. I know this guy. But I just don't know how to deal with any of that. That's not what I wanted to do.
甘い
Yeah.
救えないやつだ
Makes sense.
2本目始め
Nope. Should have known. Nope. Hit.
そこだそこだ2章4章8章16章32章64章
Oh yeah, still living.
Oh,
No! The one time. Oh well.
そこだ1本そこだ
It's only
救
deserved.
えないやつだ
Perfectly good throw. Wasted.
始め
そこだ
Oh, it was coming. The counter hit was coming.
そこだ
GG's.
GG's, man. Thank you for the
勝ったと
games.
思ったか
Don't know if you should be thanking me for the games, but they were indeed games. You could say it was one of the friendlies of all time.
Hey, that's the PMA, man. I will watch this Zayn match.
It's
This
a
is
really
recent,
fun.
I guess.
It's really fun. It's really fun. Don't be disturbed by the 50-minute thing. That's like an anti-spoilers measure.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like, so they're like the. What? How does that work? What?
Well, you just make the video ridiculously long. It's 50 minutes, but it's not actually a 50-minute set.
Yeah. So what is the spoiler? How does it avoid spoilers?
It avoids spoilers because let's say you come across an SCON4 match that you haven't seen for whatever reason.
Oh, and it's only like 5 minutes long.
Then you know it's a wash.
Gotcha. I thought it was something to do with like the didn't they used to make the clip, what's it called? Thumbnail. Wasn't
Yeah.
it like always at the halfway mark or something?
That too. But no, I think, what's the thumbnail? What's this? Looks like the start of the match.
I get what you're saying, because if it's like a few minutes long, the first stock is gone in the first 5 seconds, like, oh, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I never thought about that. That's so cool, actually. That's really smart.
Yeah.
That's so funny, actually. Oh my gosh. So it's just like a bunch of nonsense, or is it just on repeat?
I think it's for most videos that I see with anti-spoilers, they just end it with this the video's over. This is just anti-spoilers. It's mostly like that.
There's literally credits at the end of this video.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
fucking amazing. There's credits of a. That's so funny.
It takes
you for
work to put
watching.
these tournaments on. You know it takes work.
No. That's good shit. All right, man. Well, sleep well. Yeah.
Thanks to everybody for tuning in. For the listeners, boy, you missed out. But for the people viewing on YouTube, enjoy the. If you want to, I mean, it's basically like Steve Rogers telling Sam Wilson, if you want to call that running, oh, that's how it's going to be. Oh, that's how it's going to be. So
Damn. Self roast.
let that be something that I log in the back of my mind, so I can maybe use it as fuel, or maybe I'll just stop caring about it as soon as I'm done recording because I want to go to sleep.
I want to go eat, so I hear you, man. Thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's good times, good vibes. Appreciate you letting me chat for a nonsensical amount of time.
It's a beautiful thing.
Right? I'm sure. I mean, you can. Something I've said before is that if you, and I don't mean to say this about myself, but just about anybody, like if you hear someone passionate about any topic and you listen to them, even if you don't give a shit about it, you have some enjoyment out of it. Like even when you start talking about melee stuff and you're getting connections just from like tiny hints, I'm like, he gets it. And then you're talking about even more stuff. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know about that. Like, it's cool. So, anyway, geeking out is fun. Thank you for letting me do so.
That's the whole point of the podcast. Thank you for being on. And for anybody still paying attention this far in, you know where to find us. Check the description below for links to the Discord server for SCON4. Then you can see CEO Taku dates and the Start GG for that. And, well, if it's even up, well, you get it. It's going to be super duper fun for people who can attend. So if you want to attend, great. If you want to watch it live, you'll know where to watch it because you'll be following along on the Discord and hopefully also getting the game and playing with people. So thank you, HebrewHammer. And that's all from us. We'll play the outro and then we'll do thumbnail and then we're done. So outro and then thumbnail. And here we go.